professional.
Started off with a bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, yo, set it up.
Surfing on the web and I'm shooting at 3. I've been goated when I got my G. I'm an alien boy from a different planet, yeah. So I got my drink, I'm riding in the 1920s Model T Ford. Call her Era Lord. Call me Levi, playing on the keys, boy. And I'm about to put my gloves on. If I said it, then I meant that. Yeah, I like that one, I'm about to get that. Crash that whip for the drumsticks, whiplash. I'm about to get them all. Are you with that? In a white boat, surrounded by blue. I want one, but I got a cop too. I wanna fly high in the sky, arms out wide, trying to soar from a bird's eye view. I'm on fire, Ricky, Bobby, cracking the pavement, Whitney, Bobby. I'm a Saki bomb, Hiroshima, Nagasaki. Bruce Wayne been a dog, and I keep it 101, cause I'm feeling kinda spotty. You sipping on some rock and I'm sipping on octane. The only thing around my neck is the
Started off with a
blockchain.
bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, he'll set it up.
NFT, Twitter, blockchain. Seeing with the ghosts and we ballin' like the Brown James. Crypto. We can make a trade, get the memo. Reviews not falling for the FOMO. Listening to Coffee with Captain. You know we worldwide, they loco. I ain't never gonna stop rapping. Orlando, yeah, we working magic. We rocking Ethereum NFTs. I just went and caught me a half base. Man, I got a shout out
Started
to
off with a bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, he'll set it up.
Breaking the mood to choose one, but they got knowledge to move, son. I'm shocking in shades with my brother in shoes. Yeah, them blues is coming. Even though it's hard to pick, eeny, mighty, mo, soda on the mix, no biting lips, it's time to go. Index number 1, no thumbs up, you gotta scroll. Looking at the ghost in studio, it's time to go. Had a helmet on by myself until I met a mask that wanted to have a face off. So had to bring my chainsaw, full tank of gas in the drive with my brakes off. I'm A1, but a different kind of steak sauce.
Welcome to Coffee with Captain, powered by ApeCoin, where we dive into all things crypto, NFTs, Web3, and cutting-edge technology. Remember, nothing here is financial advice. Early-stage tech can be exceptionally volatile and risky. So grab your coffee and join Cap and Steve for today's conversation.
Welcome to the future.
Welcome to Coffee with Captain GM. Thanks so much for joining us. If you haven't already done so, do us a favor, drop us a GM in the chat down below. Then head up top, smash that like, repost, and bookmark on today's space. We greatly appreciate it. Warms up the algo, lets everyone know we're here, and does us a solid. While you're up there, head over to your favorite chat, or the best GMers drop GMs in all 4 of those. Up top, we have our abstract feed. We've got the live video here on X, as well as the original audio spaces on X, and we're over on YouTube. If you're not yet subscribe to our YouTube account. I see Von Frutton over there dropping the GMs, but we greatly appreciate some love on that. Some opportunities. We're excited. We've got a lot of things going on, and as we look to grow the show here, these additional distribution channels are helpful. So appreciate any and all of the support, all the love out there. Hope everyone had a wonderful weekend. As always, I'm Cap, joined by my co-host Steve. Never any financial advice on the show. Crypto's risky, NFTs are risky, meme coins are exceptionally risky, and go to 0 to moment's notice. Please don't put any money in you can't afford to lose. Know that Steve and I like little tokens we talk about from time to time here in the show. We're not financial advisors. Don't follow us in any trades. Just join us for some information, some education, and some fun along the way. Now that we have that out of the way, GM Steve, hope you had a great weekend. How you doing, sir?
GM, good weekend, busy weekend. It's one of those weekends when, it's funny. Like, we have a lot cooking right now, Coffee with Captain wise. We have a lot going on between you and me professionally, everything we're working on. And, it's funny for the sort of, this weekend, it's like I'm at this point where I have these decision points where I clean. So I work. This is my basement. My office is my basement. And it's also my gym, which has some exercise equipment in here. It's a small basement, but it has like some home gym equipment, like some weights and stuff, like those click weights and, a treadmill and stuff. And it had just become overrun and I didn't know where to start. And Dawn and I spent like 3 hours cleaning it today. And I had this legitimate thought where I was like, 3 hours cleaning this is 3 hours I am not spending on work, on recording, on all of these different things. Because I started recording some videos for a passion project this weekend. And it's getting very real where it's like, there's some things I need to review from some sponsorship opportunities we've talked about that, we're looking at that we need to do. We got a new one of those coming tomorrow that I got to do some work for today. So it feels like things are heating up and there is enough work to make the day fly by. The scary part for me is like, again, when things get this busy, it's like making sure I'm still working in those personal for me times. One of the adjustments I've made over the past, probably year is trying to actually work in that I'm stretching, that I'm lifting, that I'm running, all those things. So trying to make sure that I'm doing all that stuff good as well. But
it's important. Yeah, good for the soul. And like, it's especially when we in this entrepreneur world, like you can't go. I mean, you can, it's possible. There's definitely been stretches in my life. I've went 7 days a week for months in a row. And I enjoy that, but it's also, we're human. Like at some point we'll break, at some point we will burn out. It doesn't mean like we're going to stop, but we're not going to be 100% of our potential. And I had a mentor once tell me, and I've used it multiple times. He's like, I'd rather have you working 6 days a week at 100% of your potential than 7 days a week at 80% of your potential. And it's just real. Like we are humans. Like eventually we will hit a burnout, a breaking point. And, that stuff like family time, the health stuff's very important. Even like you talk about like just doing like basic household chores, right? Whether you're picking stuff up or rearranging things, or I was out, if you can see, I was out, doing some landscaping, just basically like spring trimming. Like Florida stuff grows crazy down here. So clearing out some bushes and trees and stuff. And, similar, just a couple hours out in the sun and, got like some scrapes on my back and stuff. I've mentioned a few times, my elbow, my shoulder's been fucked up. So I guess like fair warning this morning, I slapped on I'm not a big topical user. I don't, you
don't use a lot of medicine at all, actually.
Just cannabis. And so like it's, I'll take a, 50 milligram edible or, capsule to go to sleep at night, but I don't really take, I don't take any pharmaceuticals. I don't even take like Advil or anything, but my shoulders were messed up. And so this morning after my shower, I slapped on, I have some topical like rub, like it's basically like, think of like icy hot, except it's got THC in it and it works really well. What I did not realize, Steve, is as I was out, it's not just the scratches on my hands. I've got cuts all over I have my shirt off. So I've got cuts all over my back and on my shoulders. So this icy hot THC infused rub is on my shoulders like, I didn't realize I had all these scratches until I put it on. So I don't know. I feel fine, but there's a chance I start hallucinating or something on the show today because I don't think you're supposed to put that stuff into open wounds, but here I am.
I mean, I think you're going to be okay considering you take 50 milligram edibles, which is basically a horse tranquilizer to get to sleep at night. So I think you're okay. Love all of the comments. First of all, shout out. I mean, so many shout outs this morning. Board Osaka, RDL, Green Edge, Von Frunton, Diablito, RDL, Hizzy, Aaron Lee over in YouTube. We got people over in Abstract. We got Teacher Katie, which is funny because I didn't see her name and then I did see it, but I knew she's there. So I knew I could just say it naturally because she's there every morning. Thomas Booching, Mesh, nice and bright and early. Von Frunton, Utaport, always here every single morning show, bringing it hard, giving you the big congrats and giving you a nice little tip on the congrats on the 7 years.
Big tipper over there show.
Yeah. And the Carlito, all the friends out there. And of course, everybody here in the, Spaces chat, we appreciate you as well. Hizzy, Osaka, Von Front, and some of the same folks as well. Dwayne, Mel, Chief, I know you're always out there. General Wags, always coming to play with a pretty cool edit each and every morning. Diablito, Drew, Micro, Kazi, which I now know it's like kamikaze. It's Kazi like kamikaze. I actually called him that originally. You went Kazi. I went and followed your lead. So classic Cap, getting me going back. Dort, Maria, Big Bear, Law of the Saw, Brick It All Clay. All of our friends out there. Cap, plenty to discuss this morning. So I feel like we should probably get into it because we had a busy weekend. We had, there's a lot of things going on. I pinned to the top, saw this morning, Julian Holguin's doodle is up for sale for 6 ETH. Pranksy is aggressively dumping his doodles into WETH bids, as well as listing some of them. Or I don't know about the WETH bids. I know he's aggressively listing and trying to sell them. I thought he was WETHing, but I don't want to say that for sure because I haven't checked that specific one. Ethos got some FUD. It seems that
A lot of fun.
tide has turned on Ethos.
Actually, we got Carlito on stage. We can once we get into Ethos, I'm excited to get his take on it because I've seen some very real, candid thoughts on the timeline. Carlito kind of leading that way, and I kid you not, Steve. Yesterday, I sat down. I had some time before I went out and did the yard work. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do. And I think it was Dort tagged me in the warm. He's like, maybe today will be the day that Cap actually grinds Ethos. And I thought about it. And then I see the timeline. I see all the FUD. I'm like, you know what? I don't know. I'm not like I was really excited about what they were building early on. I still think conceptually there's something there. It's just going to be really hard to get it to stick. And the FUD was from a lot of people I respect. And so I'm not saying I'm giving up on Ethos, but I definitely decided that there was enough FUD to discourage me from grinding Ethos yesterday. So I did not. I still have left it on the to-do list and have not crossed that one off yet.
Let's put a pin in that. We'll come back to Ethos. We'll actually have Carlito lead the way on that one because, to your point, a really good thread summarizing a lot of thoughts on Ethos. I have some thoughts on that too, but I'm going to hold it. I actually want to lead with what I think is the lead story. I mean, look, we can talk doodles a little bit, but I think doodles, look, I think that's straightforward-ish, so maybe we'll get to that one. It's like CEO who's no longer there selling an asset for a big payday. These aren't inexpensive assets. It's like selling company stock. I think Pranksy selling, new CEO, new direction. I get that. I want to talk a little bit about even I don't think we'll get to the local social currency article.
Oh, I hope we get to that. I think we'll get to that.
Because it depends on how much time we have with our special guests. Because I mean, like, I have strong thoughts on that. I feel like we're trying to make fetch happen here a little bit. We'll talk about what that is. I don't know. Crypto crashing on the horizon. Or with potential trade wars, and I should say crypto crashing with potential trade wars and real wars on the horizon. I don't know. I actually want to start off with Taproot Wizards because I find this interesting. I don't remember who it was in our chat, so I'm sure they're listening because I remember being a regular listener. It might have been Diablito. I maybe don't tell me if I'm quoting wrong, but somebody in our chat, I think it was Diablito, said, "I expect Taproot Wizards to be 0.15 right after mint." And I said, no fucking way. You're out of your mind. There's no chance that these are 0.15. Well, they're sitting at 0.16, and we are, less than a week after less than a few days after distribution, less than a week after mint. What is your take on where Taproot Wizards are? Do you I don't believe this is like the end chapter and there's no runs in sight, but man, when that money's in Bitcoin, that is a lot of money that's being pulled back. Pulling out 0.05 in ETH, I don't know. What is ETH these days? $7.42. I'm fine if you pull back 0.05 in ETH. Pulling back 0.05 in Bitcoin feels like a hefty pullback. So, or 0.04 as it would be. What's your take on and your read? Is it just we misread that there were going to be secondary buyers for this? I thought that people who minted were going to want to buy more. Some of the community there and the Ordinals community, there's a lot of money there. What's going on here?
I just think it's the market. I don't think it's. I'm surprised, but I'm not surprised. I expected. I mean, both of us called it like in the 0.3-ish range, so we expected a little bit run north of mint. The volume's been there. People are collecting the ones they want to collect. I just think the market sucks right now. I'm going to check before I say this because I haven't looked recently because I'm not I think it's insanely impressive that Good Vibes Club is still 4x mint price. Insanely impressive. No one's talking about that nearly enough. I know we're still seeing it on the timeline, but that's a few weeks post mint and it's still 4x mint price. Now, very, very different, 0.069 versus 0.2 Bitcoin, very, very different price points. So they're not the same thing, but I bring that up because it is just not like we had Wayfinder delay their TGE. I just, yeah, markets are going to win. Like, I don't know what I would do if I was a founder right now. They were talking about, do you delay TGE? Do you forge ahead? Like, it would suck to have to ship in this market. Like, I don't see it possible to make everyone happy in this market. Like, it's just, there's no new buyers. It's pure rotation. Majors are just, we talked about majors chopping. It does appear that we're range bound. I say that with like probably some hopium that there's a bottom of this range for ETH. Yeah, man, it's just not a good time right now. Fear and Greed's at 32, but it feels actually a lot worse than that. And it's because it's like, I actually sent on a post over the weekend. Like, as far as anticipated mints go, did Taproot Wizards, were they nearly a perfect price? Because it was trading at mint price for.
That was a good tweet, by the way. I never thought about it that way. Everyone's like, "Oh no, they're not running." I didn't give it enough credit. I meant to when I saw it.
The team, like that, they might have, as far as the business standpoint, from the team standpoint, might have actually nailed it. Like, might have absolutely hit the perfect price point in terms of optimize. Like, you got to sell out, right? Like, you're dead, you're DOA if you don't sell out. They did the sellout. The price held at mid price for a while, which is, if you think about it, that's actually up because we expect things to pull back because there's rares, but there's the expected value of rares baked into the mint price. So if you're minting for 0.2, there is an expectation that some percentage of those are going to be rare and going to be not a floor item. I think as we're seeing some sell above floor now, it's really like, if it's at 0.16, like, you could argue that's exactly where the floor should be based on a 0.2 mint price. Because the if you're minting at 0.2, well, that's not the floor, because theoretically, like, again, some of those are going to be rares that are worth far more than the floor. We're seeing that. They're still selling more than the floor. So if you're able to buy a rare at 0.2, you would expect the floors to be less than that. So I think this is very, people, like, you're not going to like to hear it, but I think it's healthy. I think it's probably spot on where it should be. The more I reflect and think about it, it's just, where does it go from here? The other pool I posted, I did pin that up top, Steve, is you've got 18K. You're gifted 18K. You have to spend it on an NFT or an order. You have to invest it on an NFT or an ordinal. You got to hold it at least 1 year. Are you going Pudgy Penguin or Taproot Wizard? The early results, I'm not going to spoil it for anyone who hasn't hit it yet, actually shocking to me. I did not expect, and I can get into why after we'll give us a chance to those that want to go hit the pool, go do that. I don't want to lead the.
I don't want to landslide. Is what it was.
Yeah, it is. It's a landslide. I'm actually shocked because I do think there's more coming for Taproot Wizards. I do think. I mean, I'm reading between the lines here. I think there's going to be a token of some sort, whether it's a rune or on another chain. I really don't know, but I just don't think this is the end. I think there's going to be another. I mean, they just minted. So theoretically, the earliest in their life cycle in terms of potential dividend-like rewards, right? And potential future airdrops or claims. I think they'll do something. I don't know what, but I think they'll do something. And that's been alluded. When that's announced, will we see a run? I think so. Maybe not. But yeah, I think, again, it's not what we expected. It's not what mentors wanting to hear, but I think if we zoom out and are really, like, put some thought to it, the fact that it's holding at 0.16, it's basically at mint price, because, again, you factor in the expected value of those rares, and that's a huge win in this market because most things are not doing that. Outside of Good Vibes Club, I can't name another project that's minted that's up for mint. I guess I take that back. Some of the gaming stuff, some of the ones with tokens coming, yes, they are. But as far as right now, we don't know any of that. With just right now, if you're talking just a pure JPEG, I don't know as if any are above mint price other than Good Vibes Club.
Yeah, a month and a half ago, Cap sent me this weekend. I had missed this. He had said he thought there might be a token coming. There was some sort of thing where the one person with a mask back, one of Sam Spread's masks back in February 12th said, comparing apples and oranges here, you're leaving out the token valuation here. 5% of tokens go to NFT holders. If you believe it'll be above 500 million for fully diluted value, that's a heck of a number, by the way, in this market, then you'll get money back plus more.
Yeah, so
Simple
I don't
math.
believe that. I don't believe the 500 million number, but I do right now. Depends on when they launch it, but I do believe that, like, this to me, when Udi says we need to spell it out for them, I guess something's coming.
Yeah, I actually think, again, I'm gonna talk without being reactionary about my Taproot Wizards. We'll get it into the more you know. We'll let Joey get in here as well, and then we could talk a little Ethos, maybe potentially a little Luca. If we don't get into the Luca article, we'll definitely punt that one in tomorrow because I may do a rebuttal article at some point. But yeah, I mean, I don't think this is like, I mean, people really want to put things in the ground quickly. It's like weird how like we are like speed run society, and the way society lifts people up then rips people down. It's like Taproot Wizards largely celebrated. Mint price came out. There was a little bit of FUD. Then people got excited. Sold almost the entire pre-sale instantly. I'm sure a lot of those people thought that the price was going to go up, so that's why they bought it. Other people bought because they really liked it, enjoyed the community. 2 years in the making, people filming themselves in showers, in wizard costumes, flying around, pretending that they're looking for quantum cats. All of these, crazy videos. It's crazy to me that someone would film like 5 intensive videos and then sell for like a 0.04 Bitcoin loss. Like, interesting play for sure.
So let me ask you this. How many of those people do you think were doing it purely for the flip? The only reason they wanted a wizard is because they thought they could sell it for 1 Bitcoin.
I'm sure a lot of them, but I'm still surprised that you wouldn't say, okay, what's the next chapter here, right? Like, what is Act 2?
Well, this is why the market wins. I think there is so much. Dude, it feels like we're in a bear. I know we're not, but it feels like we're in a bear as far as how the market's responding. I've been multiple times. I keep not that we have time to talk dude today. Maybe we talk a little DreamNet, but I really hope they go multi-chain. I hope they just don't launch on Solana, because it's just going to be a race to the exits. And I understand people saying it's going to be a race to the exits everywhere, but it's like, there is such aggressive profit taking right now. People aren't holding. People are afraid to hold because most, whether it's fungible or non-fungible, most tokens are just they're bleeding out right now. So I think that when you have such a high entry price, it's just people are going to be much more susceptible to not waiting, because
the pain feels quick. The pain feels more and quick and immediate, and in a market where nothing's moving up, and in a place where people say, and we said it before, one of the psychological things with the Taproot Wizard is that if that thing shoots up, it's Bitcoin. If that thing goes down, it's Bitcoin. We're used to spending ETH. We are not used to spending Bitcoin nearly as much. It's still a mental model people are working on right now. And I think that part of it also matters, where if something falls, like I bought a Good Vibes Club at like 0.4, 0.5 that I really liked just because they were cooking a little bit. And I'm like, I need more exposure. I've kind of sold a few. I've traded around. I obviously have my honorary and my one that I bought above floor. I got those two because they vibed with me. But like, when Good Vibes Club dropped from like 0.6 to 0.29 temporarily, whatever, I wasn't like, oh no, the sky is falling. I'm like, dropped a little bit of ETH. Yes, it's not good to lose the money. When you lose 0.04 Bitcoin, people feel the pain a little bit more. Does that track with you?
Oh yeah. And I appreciate the corrections in the chat. Dobbin says Hypeo on Hyperliquid are up 50%, 50 plus X for mints the last couple months. That's his PFP. It's rare, but a few have popped off. Diablito says there's a lot of ape chain mints that are above mint price. Noted, duly noted. I agree. That was a miss on my end. Higher price mints. I can't think of too many. Maybe Hypeo was a higher price mint, but I can't think of many that were higher priced that are, where people are sinking hundreds or thousands of dollars into mint, and those are running. And I think there's something here. I think there's some lessons in this, Steve, that unless you have in like just a impeccable reputation, you've already raised tens of millions of dollars from VCs. If you're minting an NFT project in 2025, free or close to free is probably your best path if you want to build any real community momentum.
I mean, counterpoint is like, I think there still is community momentum in that group. I just think that it's not as strong in the Taproot Wizards. I think it's just not as strong.
Yeah, but my point is, Udi has been building for years. Good Vibes Club, Chris and Tyler have been building for years. Like, they have the credibility, they have the VC funding. like they're the exception. If you're spinning up a new NFT brand, and you could have great credentials and experience, but if you're basically starting in 2025, I think you're out of your mind to charge a premium for a mint price right now.
Yeah. Well, let's do this.
Go look at ApeChain. Like, it's proof is in the pudding. Like, those lower cost mints, there's several of them that have run up to thousands of dollars now. But you can't start at that point. Otherwise, unless you have that years of credibility, that community is going to be gone as quick as they came in.
Yeah.
Now, there are exceptions to those builders that have been building for 3 years, and they deserve that because they've been building for 3 years. They deserve to demand a higher premium. But if you're starting your venture, if you're starting your idea and your first round of funding is an NFT mint, you better go low.
Yeah, it's like, and not that we like demand these amazingly high prices, but the round, the discussion that
I know was 0.025 ETH, by the way. Thanks, Payne.
But you know, we have the discussion all the time where it's like when we talk to people like sponsors and things, like we know our worth because we've shown up for coming up on 5 years in December at this point. And it's like it comes to that point. But let's do this. We have 3 hands. Before we go to hands, we'll go Joey, then Aaron in a second here. We're gonna do the more you know on this, then we'll continue this conversation as we go.
The more you know, brought to you by ENS.
It's time for the more you know, brought to you by our friends over at ENS. We're talking a little bit of Taproot Wizards floor being below mint price. And look, sometimes an NFT mint doesn't take off right away. In fact, some even fall below mint price before they shoot back up. A recent example, Good Vibes Club. After minting, it dipped below its original mint price, but later caught fire, proving that sometimes initial hype doesn't dictate long-term success. Historically, this pattern isn't new. One of the most iconic cases is Bored Ape Yacht Club. Back in April 2021, shortly after mint, you could pick up an ape for below the 0.08 mint price. Fast forward to now, and apes have become legendary, with some selling for millions. And at its peak, the BAYC floor hit around 152 ETH, which was approximately $425,000. Another classic example, Cool Cats. After minting in July of 2021 at just 0.02 ETH, the project initially struggled with some NFTs selling below mint on secondary markets, but the community rallied, project gained tractions, and at their peak, Cool Cats reached a floor price of 14 ETH, around $60,000. And let's not forget, we're talking about it a little this morning, Pudgy Penguins. After launching at 0.03 ETH in July of 2021, they also saw a post-mint dip. But after strong community engagement and new leadership in Luca Nets, the project saw a resurgence, with the floor reaching 7 ETH early 2023, $12,000, and of course has continued to shoot up, at times hitting as high as 30 ETH at one point, kissing that number. The takeaway, sometimes the market just needs time to catch on, or other projects need to find their community. The dip right after mint isn't always the end of the story. It might just be the beginning. We'll see what happens for Taproot Wizards. And that is ENS, the more you know, brought to you by ENS, not just anchoring your name across Web3, but anchoring across the internet. It's your identity, simple, memorable, and unmistakably yours. Security, interoperability, and ease of use. Go to ens.domains to secure your ENS domain. So not a death spiral for Taproot Wizards by any stretch of the imagination, but certainly something that we haven't seen get quite as a little bit of a surprise, I think, for a lot of people. But Joey Valls, you've been waiting a hot minute on this. You came up, Joey Valls, GM.
Hey, GM guys. I think the interesting part about this Taproot Wizards thing is, like, it is way more complex than I think part of what you've mentioned, which is there were a lot of people that bought Quantum Cats, right? Thinking Quantum Cats. Now, this is the problem in this space. There's a lot of assumptions, right? They were like, oh, I'm going to get a Quantum Cat because a Quantum Cat is going to give me priority or access or whatever, whether it's 1, 2, or 3. And a lot of people, people I know personally, bought Quantum Cats at 0.2, 0.3, 0.4 Bitcoin, right? Thinking that these Quantum Cats were going to get them some type of priority access to Taproot Wizards. Then it came out you had to have one dead, one alive. And then it was like, you could get those for, I think it was 0.24. You could have got a dead and alive, which then allowed you to mint for 0.1. So it's way deeper than just like, oh, you could have got this for 0.2 or whatever it is, because there's a lot of people that spent a lot of money on that ecosystem. Now you still have your quantum cat. So depending on what you paid for it, you might be up or down. But the people that I think that like made out the best in this situation are the people that waited and got quantum cats for 0.12 each, and then were able to mint for 0.1 a Taproot Wizard, because they could still go sell their quantum cats and still sell their Taproot Wizard and be positive EV. The people that are probably not in that position now are the people that, you know, Dutch auctioned for 0.31 and the people that got the allow list for 0.2. Those people are all down at this point. But the people that waited and got those quantum cats, one dead, one alive, they're the ones that are actually, if they're looking to flip, are going to be positive. So it's interesting to see that it was the people that maybe jumped in late are making money off this versus the people that have been committed for the longest, probably not. But I don't think these people care. I would imagine most of the Taproots Wizards community aren't looking at this like, oh, darn, I'm losing money on my wizard right now. They're big believers in Udi and that team and what they're building. And I think they believe that, you know, whether it's the BIP 420, whether it's, you know, all this stuff that they're building is going to bring more attention and more opportunities and tokens and whatever. I just struggle with the idea that, because we've seen this with OCM, I struggle with the idea that a project that's so heavily like tech development based is like, people are going to care that like, oh, they got OpCat and smart contracts on Bitcoin, so now wizards are going to go up in price.
I think
that's where I think, you know.
Go ahead, Joey. Finish your thought, and then I'll
I was going to say, that's just my struggle, is that like, I think when you're tied, because again, we've seen this with OCM and we've seen this with other projects too, where your roadmap or your utility is like, we're going to build cool tech, right? Like, and that's why, because a lot of what they're building, for people that don't know, right, you got to go read about BIP 420 and OpCat and how they're trying to put smart contracts on Bitcoin and whatever. Like, does building all of that equate to our community is cool, so our NFTs need to be held? That's
no,
where
I think that thinking can be a little one-dimensional to a degree, right? In the sense that, one, I get your point. I think it's a valid thought. The reason why I would say it should be a little more multidimensional is that I would argue that anybody who can afford a 0.2 Bitcoin or 0.31 Bitcoin price, that is access to a community of people who obviously have, that you theoretically want to be included in. It's why Bored Ape Yacht Club got all the drops back in the day. It's why Pudgy Penguins are getting all the airdrops in the past couple of years. It's that you're actually seeing a community that has some level of disposable income. Is it everybody? No. Are people dumping at the moment? A little bit. But I think when you have that level of wealth, I think part of what you buy into, if you're looking at it from a pure financial standpoint, and that standpoint, is that, look, you have people who can afford to do this. That means that that's probably the people you want to airdrop, the people that you want to have a community with. I don't know why I said airdrop with that emphasis. Airdrop. The people that you want to airdrop things to, probably that type of group. Now, I think that that's part of it. Udi's obviously teased a token. It's a really cool community. Obviously, there's some kick-ass events, but is that worth $17,000? Is it going to be the club, you know, the weird Bitcoin club that ends up being the crew that you want to be part of? Like, all of those things come into play. On the surface, though, I agree with you. I mean, the play, in retrospect, everybody thought it was crazy to say, like, buy 2 cats, entangle them, go mint for 0.1, implied mint price of 0.34. Well, guess what? If you sold right at mint, that's 0.2 back right in your pocket, you sell your cats, you're actually in the plus EV. In theory, if you're looking at it pure financially, I think a lot of people aren't, but it's an interesting dip. Again, I personally see it as, I don't think this is like the final act. Like, I don't think they're down only from here. They certainly could be. And you can't fight the macroeconomic. Like Cap said, you can't fight the market. And right now, the market is just hammering us at the moment with, you know, we now have a crypto market that is controlled. The top influencer is the president of the United States. The top controllers of this are, you know, macroeconomic situations that are going on and sort of socioeconomic situations that are going on, or should say geopolitical is the better way to put it. And you can't beat that. Like, you're not going to be able to stop that. And it's hilarious because crypto in a lot of ways was to solve for this problem. And instead we're just following suit like every other market in the world. So we'll have to see what happens there.
I don't believe this is the end of Taproot Wizards. I think they've been building for far too long. Whether or not their floor price goes to 0.5 or 1 Bitcoin like people thought, who knows? But I do think that community and that team is going to be around for a long time and is going to contribute heavily to what's happening in the Bitcoin ecosystem. And if you want to be a part of that, I think it's one of the best places to be is in that community.
Yeah, it could be really valuable. Rare Ed in the chat saying no one needs a smart contract on Bitcoin. What's the TPS and for what use? I actually think that's, again, I think you need to think bigger than that. I think Bitcoin can be a chain for provenance. I think it can be a chain for approving other contracts, right? Like if you want something safe, like, you know, you'd want your house on, you know, something like a Bitcoin potentially, or like there are reasons to have high value assets on Bitcoin for approval that can be a feature instead of a bug. So I think there's opportunities there. For sure. Like, I don't think you put smart contracts on Bitcoin to play a game, but I do think putting smart contracts on Bitcoin can be smart for other things. But Aaron, I saw your hand fly up as well. Want to go your way, Aaron? GM, sir.
GM. I don't know if it flew up. I mean, I think it's the same no matter how you're feeling. When you press that button, it goes up at the same speed. I could be wrong, but good morning. How are you? And hello from Ape Chain. You know, and I did well, you know, I did fly my hand up once you guys were talking about how, you know, there are no mints and you did quantify it or clarify it by saying, well, high price mints. And certainly I don't think we've seen a lot of $18,000 mints on Ape Chain. But you know, look, G's was 33 Ape, which at the time was about $50, and now they're going for, you know, 1,000, 2,000 Ape, which I wish was worth a lot more money now, but it's still, you know, quite a bit up. STK, you know, minted for around the same, and you know, it's like, I don't know, it's hovering around 130 Ape, and I get it. These are small, you know, smaller mints, but at the same time, nice to be somewhere early, you know, nice to be somewhere like, you know, Bored Apes didn't mint for $50,000, $100,000. They minted for $250. And, you know, now they're at 25,000. They were at 420,000 floor, like you were saying this morning. And so I you know, I feel like I'm in a different universe over on Ape Chain. And I think we're going to be talking about the Divi later. Thank you for the invitation. But, you know, that's also a thing where, is there a reason to hold on to it in addition to the community? Can you monetize the NFTs if you're holding, not even staking? And the answer is over on Ape Chain right now, yes, you can. Soon come into other chains as well. Just by holding assets, people are monetizing. People have made thousands and thousands of dollars USD just by holding STKs on Ape Chain, not staking, not doing anything, just holding them. So again, you're right. You know, we didn't launch at $18,000, but I feel like we're all building something over on Ape Chain, which may not have the headlines all the time, but when we're talking about markets, there's a completely different market there of people that seem to have been time traveled from 2021 NFT bull market and are really doing things over there. And people are not, I mean, of course there's flipping, but the behavior over there. And again, yes, I get it. We're talking about, you know, smaller amounts of money.
But that's how things started. I think you mentioned the 2021 bull run. That's how things started. Like, there wasn't, mints weren't several $1,000s. Steve, do you even remember the first mint that was over a couple $100 that wasn't on a bonding curve, right? So it started out bonding curves. So you could get one cheap and then the last one would be, you know, 100 ETH or something crazy. Bored Apes were one of the first ones that eliminated the bonding curve and went fair pricing at mints. It was a couple $100. And then that was most of them were like 0.08, or you mentioned Cool Cats at 0.02. Like, it was a few $100s until, I don't know, like I think of Artifact, I think of Moonbirds. Those were the first couple that were like in the thousands of dollars. Azuki, but this is also, that was in peak bull market, right, Steve? Like I just, the first several months of the NFT bull was free to very low cost, couple $100 mints. Am I wrong in thinking that?
I mean, there was art blocks at the time, and there was a lot
Even
of other
art blocks. Like, what was an expensive art block? 0.25?
Yeah. I mean, they had some pretty hefty mints at art blocks. So there were some pretty big ones. There was
Mutants were probably the first several $1,000 mint.
Mutants were a big one that seemed incredibly ridiculous at the time to most people. So that's actually a good call out there. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, again, like
that was like things were humming. That was like arguably peak NFT bull, August of 21.
Yeah. No, it's definitely it definitely is interesting to think about, like, when, like, I'd have to look back. Like, this is actually a really good thought-provoking question, which is, when did we start to see, like, what were the first really expensive mints that were after sort of the Bored Ape Yacht Club that tried to swing on it?
Even then, a lot of the ones that really ran were still free. Like, I think of like August, September of 21. Like, we talk about Mutants. We had Loot. Loot was a free mint that ran up to north of 20 ETH. It was free. Like that was during the heyday. Like, it's just, I get it. I understand. And when, like, I'm going to go back to what I said earlier, like the Taproot Wizards team probably priced their mint price perfectly to optimize revenue. I just, that's very different than a brand new startup brand. I really get excited about what I see happening on Ape Chain because it is tapping into a lot of what started this market back in 2021. If we weren't paying tens of thousands of dollars for a JPEG, it puts so much more expectation and pressure at the higher price point. Again, deserved for those teams that have been building this whole time and very well could become profitable. But I think it also leads to maybe less shot taking, less experimenting. And we're seeing a lot of that on Ape Chain with these lower price mints. We haven't even talked about some of the stuff that Quit's doing, just playing around with the tech and doing some of the degen stuff over there. That's not even an NFT mint, just, ways to, new stuff, new GambleFi type of opportunities that I think we've gotten, we're really talking two very different things when we talk about a 0.2 Bitcoin mint for a team that's been building for 3 years versus a free mint off a new concept or new idea. I think both can work, but I think in this market, the current market conditions, probably much more, especially a new idea, probably going to see a lot more momentum with the lower price points. Would be my guess.
Yeah, I would say probably. I can think it's so dependent, and that's why it's like, to your point, like, we try to make these comparisons long term. It's like, you can't compare Good Vibes Club to anything because they built up and it was a legit team. You can't compare Taproot Wizards to anything unless someone has a time machine. And so about what's happening on Ape Chain is very legit. I know you built on it a little bit there, but that aspect of it is like, that is a place where you can play around for fun and see what happens. And again, like, we have such a warped mind in Web3 that people think, like, people without a blink were bragging about being like, I just spent $17,000 on this JPEG versus, I mean, that's a car. Like, you can get a car for that. That's a, like a used car. And I think, like,
maybe a 1998, can you get a car for 17 grand? What car are you buying for 17 grand today, Steve?
You've never bought a used cars?
Cars are coming down. Like, there's going to be they're talking multiple new Tesla models coming, and I heard one of them is going to be at a price point of 20K or less for a brand new Tesla. Like, yeah, price points they're not what they were a year or two ago, where you couldn't buy a used car. You're getting like the Carvana offers it $5,000 more than what you paid for it. Like, car prices have broken. Like, that bubble popped. And maybe it's not all models, but yeah, I think, I mean, if you look at internationally, and then this is not, I don't want to get in, we're not geopolitical experts. We're not going to talk tariffs and trade wars. But like, there's insane cars coming out of China for like 15 grand. Insane, like, run circles around the stuff we see here technology wise in the States. Car prices are dropping fast. And I think by the end of this year, we'll have brand new cars that are high quality for less than 20K, Steve.
Yeah, well, I mean, and I think we lost Shaka. I feel bad. I see it go down. I was going to go to you next if you want to get back up. But yeah, I mean, like, cars aside, my point being, that is a not inexpensive thing that most people would say that's insane to even think about. And I think, like, to me, that's the important thing to realize, is that, like, you go to Ape Chain and you could literally mint free and or incredibly inexpensive and be able to sort of successfully, have fun on there, join a community, and actually potentially trade things and make money. So I think it's a really salient point to be had there. Let's get Jashaka back up here to let.
It's so funny as I say that, Steve, because I went to Google to back up my take, and all the headlines talk about how car prices are going to explode now due to 25% auto tariffs, leading to less options. So maybe I'm completely wrong, but I think that, yes, that's a possibility. I also think we'll see a few of the U.S. manufacturers double down and look to just cannibalize market share due to the change in competitive landscape.
As a person who is largely uneducated on, I'm not an economist. I can tell you sort of, general thoughts on things from what smart economists tell me, but I'm not going to get into it because I have strong thoughts that I don't think will be popular, but I'm going to leave it alone. Jashaka, go ahead and get back in here. Thanks for your patience, GM.
GM. So I love the advice you have here for founders and new projects. This information is priceless. I love your space. And I have a lot of love for BTC. I started mining when it was like $600. It gave me the life I have today. But I'm also an NFT collector. And when I buy NFTs, I try to buy the art, not just the community. So is it just me, but is the Taproot Wizards art not really that stunning? Like when I look at it, I wouldn't really put it on my wall. Does this affect the floor price? Does this affect the buyers, or is art not really important? I don't see really anyone talking about this, for a $20,000 plus NFT, wouldn't you expect it to be slightly better quality, especially compared to a lot of other projects?
I think art's subjective, so I don't think it's easy. It is a meme culture play on purpose. It's intentionally done that way. It's like intentionally made to be that way. So I do think like it just depends on what your perspective is. I think yours is totally fair, but I know people who, you walk into a modern art museum and you see a pile of bricks and you're like, that's art. Or you see a banana taped to a wall and you say that's art. So I think art is subjective. So I think for those people, I think they, as much as anything, are buying it as part of the culture, as much as anything alongside sort of that art side, to your point. Like, is it, going to be for everybody? I think your perspective is valid. And I'm sure there are people who looked at it and said, why am I minting this? I can't believe somebody put this JPEG out and they're buying it. On the flip side, I do know that there are people who do like that and feel good with it and feel connected to it. So I think it's as much a sense of identity tied to that as anything. So I think it just depends.
Cool.
But I get your point.
Yeah, just curious, because when I see the price and the quality of the art, it just feels like I wouldn't put my money in there, But
yeah,
there are limitations, right, on the BTC blockchain for how much data you can use. So I understand limitations as well, right?
Yeah, and it's also like, to your point, like, it feels easier to justify to an average person when you see certain art on various like certain ETH art, like in art blocks, and you explain it and you read the reasoning and the thoughtful behind it. Certainly feels a little easier to justify and explain to people than say what you see with some of the more simplistic art. But a lot of people would say that about punks, and punks are incredibly valuable. So I think it's like, oh, it's pixel art, I could do that.
Steve, I know you've got hands. I know there's a few other things we've got to get into. I just saw this. It's not breaking news as it took place last night. It's not NFT. Well, it is NFT related, and there's a tie into Ape Chain. My jaw just dropped. Do you have any idea what I'm talking about?
No idea.
So there's a couple of launches today. Zed Champions launches. I'm actually excited for the open beta. Something else launches today on Ape Chain. I wasn't like overly excited, but I was planning on, I should have a claim of some sort.
What are you talking about?
Gutter Cat Gang did their community sale for Gang token launch, which concluded yesterday, and they raised 3.66 ETH, $6,800, $6,800. Their goal was to sell 12% of the total supply at 0.0089 USD per token, meaning the target was to raise just over 1 million at a $9 million USD market cap.
What did you say they raised? What was that number?
$6,800, not $1 million, but $6,800.
Not $68,000.
If you round up to $1 million, though, they got it.
Nailed it. That is
kind of speechless, knowing some backstory that I'm just not going to go there. I'm not going to.
Don't do it, Cap. Not today, Satan.
There's a chance this comes out on the show, though, Steve. We'll see how things. I'm not going to go there today, but this is. I can't say I saw this coming. I didn't expect it to. I think $1 million was rather aggressive, and yeah, I'm just going to bite my tongue before I go where I shouldn't go. But $6,800 raise.
Yeah, I'm giving the not today Satan to you. We're gonna hold on that thought. I have similar thoughts to you, but we're gonna keep it moving. I have no interest in that particular one. Let's do this. Market's down. I think it's like we're getting absolutely murdered by this tariff stuff. Let's do our daily market update, and then we will go to Carlito to talk a little bit of Ethos.
It's market update time. Let's set the play. Powered by Awaken, the smart tax way. From crypto flips to DeFi stacks. They keep it clean. Got your back. Grab your coffee. Let's break it down. Daily update right now.
Grab your coffee because it is time for the daily market update powered by Awaken, the best way to handle your crypto taxes with integrations across top exchanges and blockchains, plus AI-powered transaction labeling. Awaken makes tax season easy. From NFTs to DeFi to meme coins, Awaken has you covered. Get $50 off with code COFFEE at awaken.tax. It's $50 off when you use code COFFEE at AWAKEN.TAX. And I'm filing an extension anyway. So if you're also filing an extension, feel free to use our code for $50 off. Do your crypto taxes right. I owe Cap some documentation to actually get my taxes done. So I am falling behind because I am on the downswing there. But Cap, what's going on in the market?
More chop, at least in majors. Bitcoin actually up 0.04% on the 24 hours, 83,132. ETH up 0.47%, $1,841. XRP down 2.45% to 210. BNB flat down 0.8%, $600. Solana up 0.27%, 125. It's just more of the same. Doge down 2% to 0.16, and Cardano down 3% to 0.64. Tron up 1.4% to 23. 23 cents. I don't know. Maybe we see, April 2nd, I believe, is the tariff day. Maybe we see a crash. Maybe we see a bounce there. It feels to me like we're range bound, and I just don't see any catalyst really to the positive in sight anytime soon. Potentially the wrong direction, but maybe that bodes well for our NFTs. Looking at the last day, this is sorted by volume here. Pudgy's leading the way. Down almost 2%, 9.89 ETH. Mutants basically flat, down 0.84% to 2.36. Bored Ape Yacht Club heading strong. Not only holding strong, Steve. If you've looked at the floor, it's full of crazy eyes. So if you know, you know. But Apes up 2% on the day to 14.4 ETH. Doodles up a couple percent to 3.02. Good Vibes Clubs, as I mentioned, holding strong at that 0.28 ETH, down a percent. Miladies flat. People Everyday is popping. A few people had an event over the weekend, led to a few Beeple sales. His Everyday's collection holding in a 9.79 ETH floor, up 15%. Azuki flat at 2.59. Little Pudgy's down slightly at 1.19. I have no idea what seeing signs is, but it did 40 ETH in volume with a 2.39 ETH floor. That's our daily market update brought to you by Awaken Tax. Head to awaken.tax, use code COFFEE for $50 off your taxes, as well as free Solana transactions. So head over there, get your reporting done, and either get your taxes filed, you got a couple weeks, or file that extension. Steve, anything jump out in the market update to you? Anything that you're paying extra attention to this week?
No, honestly, I'm locked in on some of those NFT floors, to your point, the kind of the chop around. Bored Ape Yacht Club holding up, but of course ETH continues to go backwards. So what does that do for us? I don't know. So the Crazy Eyes floor is always fun, but I feel like every time that happens, we get excited and never holds. But I did see that over the weekend. I got a kick out of that. So mostly NFT stuff is what I've been watching more so, because I'm not down horrendously about the majors, right? To me, it's that's something you just stack, you continue to do, you continue to dollar cost average, and I don't really think that through. So I'm more just looking at the NFT floors.
Let's get Carlito in here. I see he's got a heart out at the top of the hour. Carlito, appreciate your patience. Feel free to take it wherever you'd like. I'm guessing a little bit of Ethos conversation before we move to our special guest here, but GM. And like I said, feel free to get on anything you'd like this morning.
Yeah, no, thank you very much for having me, Captain and Steve. As always, it's a pleasure. It's a lovely Monday to start and listen to you guys as always. And I wrote a detailed thread about basically everything I could find on the timeline regarding Ethos. I had a conversation back and forth as well with Serpin. And yeah, I mean, in brief, I'm not very happy with the communication skills nor with the update itself. So I think it rewards vouch for vouch, 3 for 3, and basically the more ETH you put into somebody, the higher their score gets, and not necessarily the honest, the honest reviews without any money attached to it. So I think all of these are not really good updates and not a step in the right direction.
It is. I don't want to speak for you, but I'll speak for myself. It's a little deflating too when you've done nothing wrong, you don't get a single negative review, and your score drops a few hundred points. Even if it's corrected, even if it felt like overcooked previously, it's like, wow, I just grinded those those reviews last week, and now I'm back to lower than where I started. It is discouraging. I think I get it. I understand they need to tweak the algorithm and get it right, but I think I'm probably not the only one who was planning to do some more reviews this weekend and did not after I was a little discouraged based on the drop in score. And you weren't the only one. I did pull your thread up here on stage, but for those that missed it, do you want to give like a quick TLDR on your thread here, and I guess what the changes were, and a little deeper what some of the concern is?
Yeah, sure. I just pinned it on top if that's okay for anybody that wants to follow along. Feel free to have a read. It's basically a gathering of all the feedbacks that I found on my timeline, which are at least 15 different accounts chipping in and giving their perceptions. And it more or less resonates with what you said, right? You wake up, there is no previous communication, no announcement other than something hidden in the Discord in their channel minor announcement. I don't really think this is a minor announcement. So again, doesn't really speak for the communication skills of Serpin nor the team. This should be communicated way clearer in advance. And in my opinion, also on his personal account and on the corporate X account, which it wasn't. So for that reason, many people woke up, felt like they literally got a slap in the face, and their scores dumped from 100 to several hundred points for no particular reason, right? So if you tell me the algorithm was flat out wrong, and now this is the new algorithm, I go on the leaderboard and I see Abi, who's a friend of mine, so nothing against him, but Abi on top and CwC being ranked 3rd, something is still very wrong with your algorithm, right? Because you cannot convince me in no universe that CwC is not a more reputable person than any one of us here on stage or LARPing around on Twitter. And all of this, I think, frustrated a lot of people for a rightful reason. So, and I mean, that's the TLDR that I can give in very brief. And I, for once, I unvouched all my ETH that I had in friends as well this morning. I encourage everybody that has vouched ETH on myself to do so. And I completely understand that many people like yourself wanted to start trying about it. It's been around for, I think, roughly 2 months. I've been on the platform for 43 days straight, engaging, doing my XP, doing the right things and not farming, not doing the 3-3. And yeah, here I am with minus 300 points. And just to maybe finalize this, because I have to go in 2 minutes, it's really not about me and myself and being pissed about points, right? These are just points and it's just another platform. It's really the way it was communicated and basically telling me that the algorithm was flat out wrong just to improve it, in parentheses, with something that is still flat out wrong. So I don't really vibe with that. That's my reasoning.
Yeah, so many things about this. I know you got to go in a couple minutes. 2 things. One, I actually responded to Serpin in real time this morning, or real time the other day. And 2 things about it. One, I went on and thought there was an error on the platform. I was like, why is my credibility dropped? Someone give me a negative. That bugged me. I went over to the Discord and I actually said like, hey, what's going on here? It seems odd that my credibility dropped. I have 100% positive reviews. I have a lot of really positive vouchers. I've been active on the platform. And I was like, and by the way, like, I mean, I host a show. I'm here every day. I wrote a book. I've spoken at Harvard 5 times. Like, I'm not like some non-credible person. It feels bad to get knocked back there. I kid you not. Somebody in the Discord immediately went and just started basically like mocking me and being like, oh, guy's spoken at Harvard, so he thinks it's credible. It's like, yeah, 1, that is kind of a sign of credibility. But 2, like, I kind of responded. I'm like, I don't know, man. Not a lot of people have a best-selling book that's used to like teach in top crypto firms and Ivy League schools. And like, he got like upset. He's like, this dude just talking about himself, not the platform. I'm like, this is the discussion of the day. So it was very toxic in the Discord and with people responding that way when a lot of people were feeling down. And my sort of response to Serpent that I initially put out, which I think is a problem, and I'll get into more of it in a second, is like, I basically said, had a thought on yesterday's updates. Curious your take on. I, like many, found it jarring and reacted accordingly. I tried to reflect on why, given you're simply trying to improve the platform. Have you considered how to make these changes more incremental in the score impact, perhaps slower rollouts? Seeing a score drop drastically, especially one tied to your reputation, feels more personal than, say, a game's leaderboard. Again, I recognize the value of what you're doing. I'm just trying to self-reflect on what drove my strong averse reaction, saying update bad. Thoughts on slower rollout or even community discussions as they might soften the blow. And he kind of responded nicely, being like, yeah, maybe next time or whatever. But I mean, your point about this is like, they act like it's a major update that like is like, oh, you know, this is an update to the platform. And it was like almost kind of not dismissive. Like, I know that's been kind of the feeling on the timeline, but like, man, it is hard when you're like, this is my theoretical reputation you are claiming this is tied to. And in this scenario of reputation, I'm being told that I'm less reputable based on nothing I did. And like, it's like, do I want to continue to climb up this hill? I had just gotten over that 1600 mark. Now I'm back down. So I don't know. Like, I didn't feel great about the updates. I kind of voiced some feedback. To Zerpin's credit, always very open to feedback. Appreciate that. But I think to your point about the communication skills, like, this is the type of thing that you probably want to have a discussion about long in advance, what's coming, how it's coming, what you're going to see, why it matters. Instead, I go to the Discord, I have some questions about it, and I just get absolutely ripped by some community members in a way that I'm like, well, I'm never going in that Discord again. Like, they basically call me an asshole.
That's what's so wild to me is like, I get people voicing their concern or their frustration with the change in score, or the change in the formula. Oh, my number dropped. I get all that. Like, that happens. Like, teams take. But what is really like what made me check out this weekend? And
I'm very sorry to cut you here, Captain. I have to jump. I have to go to a call, but I resonate heavily with what Steve said, and I will wind back and listen to this conversation because I'm very curious. So please apologize. I need to leave.
All good. No worries. Appreciate you joining us. Thanks for adding to the convo. Great thread up top. That is linked up there. And yeah, see, that was what was so shocking to me is so many, like, I didn't experience that. I didn't jump in the Discord. I didn't voice my concern or discontent whatsoever. But so many of the comments I saw on the timeline was people like, wow, they're like talking condescending to me, or they're snapping back, or, you know, like, I've just shared candid feedback and they like attacked me, or like that is, this is all hearsay, right? It's all third party, but a lot of those comments that people felt like, I'm paraphrasing, but felt attacked for sharing their frustrations.
I did.
Not a good sign.
I did. I certainly did. I felt completely attacked. I was like coming in and I'm just like, you know, just chatting it up, like, you know, discussing, you know, kind of like whatever. And then like all of a sudden it's like, hey, asshole. Like, and I'm like, what the hell, man? Like, I'm just like, I don't know. Like, I'm somebody who just like was curious about my score. And I think, look, I'm not trying to be like a dick when I say this. I think this is a matter of self-awareness. I think I am a relatively credible person in this space. Like, I'm not trying to like be like, oh, I'm more credible than everybody else and I only care about my score and my accolades. But yeah, when somebody slashes your credibility by, you know, 200 points and you don't know why, and you find out, oh yeah, we introduced some new updates. I'm like, well, what do I do to need to be more credible? Because obviously, and somebody in like the Discord who like was on the team was like, well, you know, unfortunately we can't, you know, having a best-selling book isn't always like a sign of credibility, and shared some bullshit best-selling book. I'm like, I don't know. Are those books used to teach like A16Z crypto school or Ivy League schools on NFTs? Like, I got a DM about my book from someone this weekend who I really respect, saying it got them to think differently about NFTs. I'm working on a passion project, which is specifically built on education that I could sell online courses for, but instead I want to give it away for free. I'm working on this on my own time and money. And I'm not trying to be like, you know, oh, you know, woe is, you know, yay for me, all these other things. My point being, like, I think credibility is something that obviously the reviews are going to come in for, and I get that. But it's like some of the most credible people have reviewed and vouched for me on that platform, people who I really respect in this space. And like to see my score slashed by 200 and be like, hey, what happened? And then give feedback, and people being like, you just care about your score or some airdrop. Wow, what, like a grifter type thing. It's like, you know what? Like, that's pretty toxic. I get there are people in the community who are being defensive and they're trying to defend the wall, but it's like, this is not a PFP project. This is on-chain credibility. And people are going to take that seriously. And if you want to be taken seriously as an arbiter of on-chain credibility, like, you want this to work. You don't want this to be like, I don't know. And like, even in certain instances, I see people talking about like one individual instance. Great. They talk about one thing, but I don't know. Like, I'm starting to worry this is just going to turn into, you talked about this, Cap, fucking online Yelp, where someone's like, they get a overcooked crepe from a 15-year-old at the mall, and they're like, crepes in the city, more like crepes in the shitty. And you know what I mean? And they go on there like, they overcooked my crepe. Like, that's what I fear this turn into.
Someone's going to nail it. I really do believe someone's going to nail this. Maybe it's Ethos still. Maybe it's not. I've also, I know we're running short of time here. It's probably not time to get into the Kaito debate. I've also seen some similar frustrations with Kaito, although I will say, shout out to our guy, Grateful Ape. I wasn't aware. There's like a dozen other protocols. Today's the final day. It runs through the end of the month. It's not just Kaito points. Like, Polkadot is giving away $100 grand a month. Like, there's several other protocols giving away a lot of money for people putting out quality content. While that's exciting, similar frustrations and grumblings because it's being farmed and people are abusing the system.
I've got a whole thread that's just going to be, it's going to be so unpopular with like the biggest of the KOLs who are farming Kaito, because I have a very strong thoughts on this. I just haven't put the thought out yet.
It deserves the critique because it is being abused. Like, it's just so hard to do right. But I truly do believe someone's going to nail it, prevent the farmers. It's going to take multiple iterations, because this space, one of the first things they attempt to do is break things. How can I find the loophole? How can I break this? How can I 3,3 my way to a big airdrop? Like, it's just very hard to do any of this stuff. And they're all catching, I don't want to say catching strays, because it's directed at them. And the critique is fair in most cases. But I still think someone is going to nail this, because it is so important. There's a reason Yelp sucks, but it's still used in everyday life. Like, it's still baked into Apple Maps. Like, it sucks. It's a horrible platform, but yet it is secured tremendous market share because people want to know what peers, other human beings, friends, colleagues, associates, and strangers, real humans, think about something else. Like,
Yelp in the like 2010s, early 2010s, even a little before, I want to say like 2008, 2009, those people thought they were French food critics when they were talking about like the local Applebee's and their quesadilla burger.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know. I like, and I know you flagged this early on, and I saw it as like it's a good flag. We'll see how this goes through. Like, I thought it was credible at the time. I didn't like poo-poo your thought process at the time, but I definitely, was like, well, let's see where this goes. But like, it's just, you can't release it. I kind of said this, and like, the problem was like, not just like the team, but like the community and people who are involved were so dismissive when it was like, you can't just drop an update that nerfs people's this isn't a floor price. This is a reputation for a human. And if you want those humans who are holding up the platform's reputation to feel good about it, like, you can't just nerf them and be like, oh yeah, we made some updates, but it happened to everybody. It's like, right. But you just went from saying I was 1,600 plus incredible to I'm now neutral. And it's like, that doesn't feel good as a human being, whether you like it or not. And I just think people aren't giving that like I feel like the team is very, very smart. Serpent is very, very smart. We had him on the show. I enjoyed talking to him. I still believe he's got some really cool stuff he's cooking. So I'm not trying to say it as a hater by any means. I'm saying, to me, it feels like they are so right-brained that they see this as a product and they're looking at it that way when he talks about proof of stake for humans and all those things. I think that's awesome. You need a little bit of, or I should say right curb, you need a little bit of EQ in the building to be like, hey, let's do the math on here. If people's score drop by 200, there's probably going to be an uproar. And I just think like that's what people said is they're like, what's happening?
It doesn't matter that it's relative. It doesn't matter that everyone got cut 200 points. You nailed it. Like, no one's going to like that feeling. Oh, I got 100% reviews and I logged in today and I'm 200 points less credible than yesterday. That's BS. This thing is broken. I didn't do anything wrong in the last 24 hours. It's just, you can't completely sanitize to people's emotions to where they're not going to think, oh, well, I'm just the same as I was before. No, everyone's thinking, oh, I got clipped and I didn't deserve to be clipped. Shout out to Mackie who shared whose post on Kaido. Comms are important, and they did address the. I've seen a small group of accounts looking to game the Yapper leaderboards with feedback from some users. They added slashing, they added a downvote. It's just like this stuff it has to be iterative. There's no way to think it's just going to be perfect on the first launch, and it's probably one of those things they're going to have to continually iterate. So I'm rooting for them. I hope some, if not all of them, win. But an interesting weekend in the InfoFi / DataFi / ContentFi street, Steve.
Yeah, it was fascinating to see, and I'm sure we'll talk more about that tomorrow. And like, what's crazy is I know we got our guest here. We'll go to Musty in a second to get Musty's take on it. Musty always, Musty does not hold back, which is why I'm interested to hear what comes out of this as we go. But definitely a interesting weekend where we didn't even get to talk about everything. It's like one of those. It's funny. Sometimes we come in this show and we're like, what are we going to talk about for 2 hours? We always get there. And sometimes we come on this show and it's like there is so much stuff going on that like I don't even know where to begin. But Musty, jump in here, GM.
Yo, feels like forever ago now, but I think you said something before, like people will use Ethos as like the viable way to, I don't fucking know, you say something, right? People will look at the platform and basically respect whether somebody's vouched or unvouched or whatever. I think after the airdrop, nobody will use the platform anymore. It's pretty fucking boring. Everybody's just farming it. Whoever that idiot was in your comments saying like, oh, yada, 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 whatever to you, they probably aren't on the app and probably have no fucking friends to even be able to farm the platform, number one. And also, like, it's not, like, there's nothing really interesting about it. Everything on this shit is game, bro. Like, nobody's playing it honestly because especially in Web3, people feel like in Web3, like, your network is truly your net worth. And even if you hate somebody, sometimes you just be nice to them just because you feel like you have to. Or like if you have dirt on somebody, like, bro, I'm sure a lot of us know a lot of shit that people do behind the scenes, but it's not our place to air people out. So what am I going to go do? Go on the Ethos thing and be like, yeah, this person's a fucking grifter. This is the 8th project they've launched. I'm just like, nah, cool guy. Then ask them to vouch me back. Like everybody just wants people to spend the money on them or vouch them or whatever for a higher airdrop. But after that, what happens? After the airdrop, the platform just dies. Like then what? Then these guys are just going to go build another product. Like Kaito is kind of like an anomaly, quote unquote, that people are still going to use. But this is just whack, bro. Like yelping other people is just one of the lamest fucking things that exist. And like Carlito said, there's zero reason for Abi to be above literally anybody on the fucking leaderboard, bro. Like we're all just nobodies in the space, and Zach actually reaches people like, you know, outside of Web3.
Yeah, I think good thoughts as well, like to see where it goes, right? Because I think a lot of people are farming. You know what's so funny is like I'm the bright-eyed and bushy-tailed guy. I generally get along with everybody. I am fascinated by human beings in general, so I love observing behaviors, not in a judgmental way, but no, why do they do this type way? Which sounds judgmental, but it's more like almost like I probably should have been I don't know, like I probably have a whole different career where I do something, you know, anthropology or something that's really interesting. But I like the platform. But like this sort of stuff does not bode super well for it. I will say you mentioned Kaido at the end, so we'll put a pin in this. I think Kaido is the ultimate tail wagging the dog. Like it's why I didn't like Portal Coin. It's why I don't like a lot of these farms. Everybody was like, Kaido is good. Look at the leaderboard and look at who's really up there. Kaido is a marketing tool that people pay a ton of money for who have a TGE or something coming up, which by the way, no shade, pay for your marketing tool to get it off. And then people talk about things likely disingenuously in the most charitable of explanations. It gets people to explore new ecosystems. And that's why you use the marketing tool and maybe they'll stick around. In the likely explanation, it drives the conversation in the timeline because they have tokens to give out. But you know what? Like there are diminishing returns on this sort of stuff. We saw this with Blast Airdrop, where everyone's like, Blast is the future of consumer crypto. And I went on and I'm like, how is this the future of consumer crypto? Nothing about it says consumer crypto to me. None of the dApps say consumer crypto to me. And then Blast said a TGE, and suddenly everyone didn't get as much money as they thought. And they said, this sucks. The next TGE wasn't good. All of a sudden, Blast is not the future of consumer crypto. And I think Kaido at some point, like my general prediction is that we're going to see diminishing returns at some point on Kaido's airdrops. I suppose they can continue to do Kaido airdrops, at some point because they're getting a lot of money from these people on the platform. But I don't know. I can't get on board with this.
Steve, I know we got to get moving here. We've got a special guest who's been very patient. I just have to say, I know you're probably not going to agree with this, but I think we should drop a meme coin today.
Absolutely not.
Just,
I didn't.
just so we can raise more than $6,800 in a pre-sale.
Oh.
I still cannot get my head around this. $6,800 in a pre-sale. Whew. What do you do? Like a serious question. Like, what do you do? Do you cancel it? Do you delay? Like,
Bro, those guys should have called it quits. They should pack up shop. That shit's fucking embarrassing. Also, people haven't cared about Gutter Cat Gang for the longest time. How many people are left? Like 4 people there.
What? But a serious question. What do you do at this point, Steve? You did a pre-sale. I can't remember $1 million target only hitting $6,800 ever. Like,
you rock out at a very shitty value, and then it goes up, and people who buy and make money on the secondary, and hope that it what you have to hope at Gutter Cat Gang, which by the way is now on its like 4th or 5th iteration of leadership at this point. What you have to someone said buy a Mutant Ape Yacht Club with the money raised. What you have to do at this point, if you are Gutter Cat Gang, is you have to basically say, we hope we are going to pull a Gutter Cat Gang. Because what Gutter Cat Gang's launch was, which people forget, is incredibly fudded launch, horribly done on the launch site. Like they basically launched out and the site got released early and then it got botted and everybody was fudding and everyone was crapping on the timeline. And look, I was one of the first people to say, like, if you got your new Gutter Cat Gang and you wanted to be in something magical, good for you. Congrats on that. That's awesome. Congratulations. Don't feel shady about it. But the launch was bad and they ended up rallying from it. And it actually started the actual culture of Gutter Cat Gang was that they had this really bad launch, and that really bad launch turned into them, ultimately like turning into this chip on their shoulder community that drove up. They need that to happen with Gang. I don't think it's going
to. Related Gun launching on AVAX. This is Off the Grid's token, which has captured mindshare. It's doing well for Web3 gaming. Just opened at a $1 billion valuation, Steve.
Yeah, which is also like makes sense. Like Off the Grid is minting real.
Maybe it's not just the market's fault.
Yeah, I mean,
it does suck, but there's still ways.
I hope that this turns into actual real products becoming a thing in Web3. Some, as we continue to do this, because we've had some, and I love the innovators. But like Off the Grid, if people don't know, it's a AAA rated game. People like it who have nothing to do with Web3. And the only Web3 option is you can mint things that you earn in the game on chain so that you could actually own your game assets, but it's rolled up off chain, basically, or it's done off chain, not even rolled up. It's done completely off chain. And then you can mint those guns, sell them, bring them on and off chain from AVAX. And that is a logical solution. So of course it should succeed. And I want to see it continue to succeed.
Perfect segue to our guest, talking about building real things, real value, real world application. We don't have a video for this one, but we're going to run back an oldie but goodie here. It's Made by 8 Mondays, Steve.
Made by 8 Mondays, and jump running far away.
GM, we've got our buddy Aaron Haber joining us today to talk Made by Apecoin Mondays, not just the NFT collection, but been doing some pretty cool stuff, innovating with DIVIT over there on Ape Chain. Aaron, GM, I should have dropped, if you would like to join us on video, by the way, that's my bad for not sending that over. But if you'd like, just let me know. I can send you the link if you want to come on screen with us. GM.
I feel like your online audience would drop drastically.
No obligations.
Go on camera right now.
No obligations.
Yeah, no, it's I next time I will put my makeup on and be camera.
Probably should give people more. I should probably give more of a notice than right when they're coming on video to give proper time to shower, maybe shave. That's my bad, but yeah, good excuse for us to have to bring you back another time.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Yes, thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
So, Aaron, I know I shouldn't assume, but I do assume most people, at least our audience, has connected with you at some point or another. If you're not, you need to be giving Aaron a follow. But let's just jump right into things here. Tell us about what's going on. Last time we spoke was, I think, right before Mint. Is that right? Are my days lining up? Maybe even been Mint Day.
Yes, I think so. No, one of our amazing community members over at STK on ApeChain, the garbage themed collection, was talking about how they joined, and they said, "Oh, I heard Aaron on Coffee with Captain talking about STK and joined up," and I was like, "Oh yeah, that did happen." So those guys are really supportive. That's nice of them.
When we had you on and talking STK, it was pre-mint, and you probably advised by your partner who has a legal background that you can't share some things that might lead people to minting solely for those things. But we haven't had you back on since Mint. So do you mind giving us the quick update, everything you've announced? And then I'm excited to dive into one of those in particular as it relates to royalties. But yeah, do you mind giving us the, like, what have you announced? What have you shipped since Mint with SDK?
Some of the things, yeah, I mean, some of the things we didn't even know we were going to. We just kind of adapted. So we had the second largest grossing mint on Ape Chain behind G's.
Congratulations.
Love G's and Rida. Thank you. And an amazing community and everything, you know, and all the stuff that people say, right? Except that it's actually happening. Our community has really leaned into AI as opposed to like 3D model stuff. And so you can see the timeline littered with amazing, you know, STK videos and characters, etc. One of the interesting things that happened, and this isn't really what we're talking about today, but we stalled out at about like maybe, I don't know, 60% of the mint. My numbers are probably off. Still second largest grossing, right? But you know, you were talking this morning about how, hey, you know, if you don't mint out, you're kind of dead in the water. And we're sort of changing things over with Diviverse and Board Council, because here's what we did. We got the pressure from people saying, it's 2 hours, you haven't minted out. You know, we were still minting like drips and drabs. And so the team spoke, and people were saying, burn supply, burn supply. We were like, well, this is really great art. We don't want to burn the supply. John Winchell, the founder, co-founder with One Rolex, they worked hard on this. We all worked hard on this. And so what we did was Ernest suggested minting to the company wallet, but there's nothing new there, right? We were very public about it. Hey, we're going to mint 2,000 or so to the company wallet. The other, I don't know, 400 or 500 sold out right away. And people thought, oh, we're gonna drop these. People were like, you're gonna drop them on us? I'm like, not at all. So what we did was we partnered with this guy called The Broker, and we gave him management of that stock of NFTs. He never lists them. They are never listed. So even though they are technically in supply, they're never in supply. What people do is they contact him on X and they say, I like this particular SDK. I would like to purchase it. And as long as they offer the highest trait floor, the broker will accept the deal. So that has been the largest revenue stream for STK since Mint. It hasn't been the secondary sales, it's been the broker sales. And so pieces that were going to be burned, that, the Mint was 33.8, about $50 at the time. Pieces that were going to be burned are now selling for, on average, about 200, 250 ape. And we've had a bunch of sales over the 1,000 ape mark from the broker's, random wallet.
It's interesting. I missed that. How many did the broker initially buy? How many did you put in? How many did you buy from Mint?
Bought 0. I mean, it's our project. We minted.
Oh, how many did you mint from Mint? How many did you start with, the broker?
The broker started with about, I think it was about 2,100.
Oh, wow.
We initially minted 100 to the team, and then another 2,000. Right now, the broker has, I believe, right around 1,700. So it's not like we're trying to, and this is over the course of about 3.5 months. So we're not trying to get rid of them as quickly as possible. We've said no. The broker said no to a lot of offers. But the main point I want to make here is that, now the broker is partnering with other collections as well. We're about to take on Bounty Hunters, Bulls on the Block, which Ernest and I acquired through Board Council. Once the Shadows go live, the Bulls are going to be brokered there. And it's a legitimate revenue source for collections as opposed to just burning supply. And the last thing I'll say about it is for the upcoming STK dolls mint, which is, the lady versions of STKs. And when you put them in one wallet, they're going to make babies, right? But for the upcoming dolls mint,
I'm going to say it's going to be an ugly looking baby, but I say that like, I guess, complimentary, if that's a thing.
I mean, we have different versions of beauty. I think these STKs are wonderful. Yeah, they're gross for sure. But the point here is that the last phase of the mint for dolls is the broker phase. After public, we'll give people a couple of hours to mint on public, but after that, everything goes to the broker, and people know the broker doesn't sell for like less than about 5 to 10 times what the mint price was. So it's going to be an interesting dynamic to see. Are people going to be like, fuck it, I'll just mint 5 more because I don't want to have to deal with the broker. How many is the broker going to get? But the point is, like you said, we are trying to do things differently over with Board Council and the Diviverse and Ape Chain, because listening to you guys in the morning, everything you're saying is legitimate, right? Everything you're saying about projects minting is legitimate, but it's also like sad to me, right? That's where the major talk is, because it's not a market of collectors. It's more of a market of just financializing it, which, by the way, I'm not like naive. I like making money, right? But we are figuring out ways of financializing, which I don't even know if that's a word, but monetizing collections and people's holdings and allowing them to hold it, allowing collectors founders to not burn their collections in haste because they didn't mint out, but to find another revenue stream. STK has taken in about 50,000 ApeCoin from the broker since mid-December. That's more than most mints on ApeChain are actually minting. So Ernest and I are developing new ways for founders and collectors to monetize their holdings or their collections without having to acquiesce to the pressures of the market.
Seems a lot more productive than burning a collection. I like the idea. Let's talk about DIVIT. Like I know you've mentioned it a few times. I'm not sure if anyone listening is even aware of what you're building there. Diviverse. What beyond STK? What is? How are you helping both the STK collection, but also others as far as creator royalties are concerned?
So I think that right now a lot of people may not have heard of the Divi. It is spelled DIVIT, by the way, but I'm just weird and I call it the Divi. But I think people are going to be hearing about it a lot. And basically, here's the deal. We start off by saying, how can we reward holders? And really what it came down to was, we don't like the fact that royalties are shit on all the time. I'm coming from the end of 2020. We've all been through it, where, early bull market, royalties were just a social contract. We all thought that it was actually, not a we thought it was part of the contract. And then it sort of flipped where you'd have like a couple of people doing OTC trades and, people kind of held their nose to everybody doing it, to the platforms getting involved in not supporting creator royalties. And what are you going to do at that point? I mean, if people have been reading Garga's posts over the last couple of weeks, he has mentioned not only a few times that royalties were a big reason for Yuga's success. And now you have the majority of people not paying royalties and then saying, why aren't these projects doing anything? Why are these projects tanking? Because they can't monetize the collection to even pay themselves or to put any money into dev work, right? And so Ernest and I started thinking about, what can we do to bring back royalties in a major way that everybody would get behind, right? And so we came up with the Divi. And the Divi is, I would say, a legally defensible way of redistributing royalties. It is not based on how. Let me just say this: it's a licensing deal. Okay, the Divi is a licensing deal where most projects that come out, they say, okay, you have the IP holder, you can do what you want to, but we can still use it. We can still use it anytime we want to, but you can too. Well, with STK, we flipped the script and we said, no, STK is not allowed to use your IP. We have to license it from you. Now, it's an automatic licensing deal. You can opt out if you want to, but if you don't opt out and you allow us to use your STK characters, which are amazing, like in a good morning post or in the background of a social media post, we're not opening a restaurant or anything, right? With your IP, then you get a weekly Divi. And that is a Divi is a part of the royalties. Now, STK has chosen 50% of the royalties as the licensing payment to the holders. And as long as you're eligible, at this point, it's basically don't list. As long as you're eligible, you will get your Divi for the week. And that is for each STK that you own. Now, one of our top holders has almost 300 of them. So when the Divi is an ape, or an ape and a half, he's taking in 300 to 500 ape coin each week. That's not bad. We have another collection we're working with, Other Egg Genesis from Moonlight, which has been all the rage over on ApeCoin. In about 2 weeks, they've reached a 200,000 ApeCoin total volume. They have a 10% royalty, and they're giving 100% of that royalty back in the form of a divvy after the first month. And so now it's a different system, but right now you're talking about a pool of 20,000 ApeCoin going back to the holders. So you don't have to sell your asset to realize some financial gain, and it's not a Howey test securities whatever. It is just a simple business deal. Now on the back end,
Let's sit on that for a second, because I'm tracking with you. I think this is great. I love the unique, as far as I know, novel approach here. I think it's also, when you're sharing royalties, you're probably got a community that's much more likely to pay royalties, whether it's baked into the contract or not. But one of the things you mentioned there in terms of, it's not a security, it's passing the Howey test, the licensing deal. Expand on that a little bit. Like, how technically, how is it working to, and for those that may not be familiar with, a licensing deal or even the Howey test, like, how are you getting around it, and why hasn't anyone done this yet? Because it just seems to make sense. It seems like an obvious way to, we talk about the ethos of Web3 and building together and shared IP, building in public. I think there's really something here, and not to cut you off, but maybe expand on how is it not a security? What are you doing with?
Well, this is where we need to get my partner Ernest Lee up on stage, who is an attorney, an accountant, used to be in the rodeo, has a motorcycle. The guy's like a male Barbie doll, basically, in terms of his careers, right? But I said to Ernest, well, we can't share. We just can't share the royalties with like that. That's not doable. But what if we're just simply entering a business deal and paying a licensing fee? Yeah. I mean, that's the genesis.
And so the licensing fee, though, you're not paying a fee up front. It's not a fixed fee. The deal you're agreeing to is we're just going to give you a percentage of royalties in perpetuity, or as long as it's not listed. Like, what are the?
Well, the Divi platform is going to be launching hopefully within a couple of weeks. You know how dev work goes, right? It's 90% ready to go. At that point, any founder, any artist, anybody launching a collection will be able to go to the platform and sign up easily, and then set their own parameters. And so their parameters, maybe it is, I want to give 50% of all weekly royalties to holders that don't list. Okay. And so that's what it'll be. Now they can change it at any time. Obviously, we hope that they tell their holders about it, because the holder, but that's up to them. But you can change it at any point. So like Other Egg Genesis, again, 100% of royalties going back to the holders, and there's a whole gamified experience that Moonlight has created. But he can, after a month, he's going to change it, right? So once the platform launches, anybody can set up anything. It can be in perpetuity. It can be set for a number of days, a number of weeks, whatever it is.
By the way, I just realized I have an egg in my wallet. I think it must have came from that mega space that Rita hosted last week. I wasn't. It's unrevealed. How do I reveal my egg? Do you know?
If you're talking about Other Egg Genesis, they don't reveal at this point.
Makes sense.
You should have Moonlight on. He's doing a lot of really, really interesting things. And that's another thing about the Divi, is that it doesn't have to be just a simple thing. People can set their own parameters. I mean, we have deals in the works with people that collections where it's much, much different than what we're talking about now. The Diviverse really can work with any founder or artist and really have a huge variety of parameters there. And by the way, I want to say this too. It's not just an ape chain thing. I mean, we're starting on ape chain because we really think that that's where the passion and the collectors are, and we think that's where the future is. But the Divi works on any blockchain. So the idea of getting collectors and getting founders on board with royalties. That's where started from, but it's evolving into many different things. And so we appreciate STK and the founders of STK. Ernest and I are on the team, but we're not the founders, for experimenting with us. And now Dude Rillas is the second collection that is getting a Divi. Bounty Hunter, Other Egg Genesis is going to be getting it at the end of the month, and so on and so forth. And by the way, Bulls on the Block will also be getting it once the Shadows. I know I said that, but the reason why I'm repeating it is because Bulls on the Block is an ETH mainnet collection. And so it really can be done on any chain. But the whole point is to get people to be okay with paying royalties, because shit, they're getting a portion of it back if they're part of the licensing deal, and to get the founders monetized the way that they used to be.
It's exciting to me, as I feel royalties were such an important part of the momentum that came from 2021. And we've talked about Good Vibes Club on ETH here recently about, the royalties they've collected in the few weeks following mint. I just was showing the heat map on Ape Chain. It really is, Steve. It really is pretty impressive to see so much green when the market is definitely not green. And these aren't all new mints. Like, some of these have been out for a while. You look at like Hopstars up 100% on the day, up to 290. I saw Diablito talking about Trench Pickles, which was a fun. It just came. I think the mint came out of a X space, and they're up to 79 ape, up 163% on the day. Maybe I'm wrong, but I do believe that it is part of this. Part of we're hearing Aaron talk about what he's doing with DIVIT, and yeah, while he's going omni-chain and they're just starting on Ape Chain, there is two things. One, there's excitement to these lower costs, as we talked about earlier. You're not going to have to drop tens of thousands of dollars to mint something. We're seeing a lot more. It's not like, oh, this is going to be the next big thing. We're building some huge business behind this. We're going to go raise $10 million. Many of them, and not that there's anything wrong with that, but many of them they're vibe mints. They're bringing some fun back. It's something that maybe something that's has some fun on chain, and it's got a shelf life of a few months. But we're seeing more and more of that, and I think things like this, where you can be rewarded for holding a collection, not an expectation off the profit, or the expectation of profits on the efforts of others, because in this case you're licensing something you own back to them. So it's like this gets.
If I could, and I'm sorry to interrupt.
No apologies.
But I did interrupt, and I guess I'm sorry for interrupting. If I was really sorry, I wouldn't have interrupted. But
that's right.
But thank you. The one thing I would say is, when you're saying that, well, a shelf life of a few months, yeah, some of them. But I do want to counter that and say that there are collections. Most of the collections are not going anywhere. Right, most of the collections are sticking around, and Zards, for instance, has built up. When I say built up their floor price, I mean whatever. Like, their floor price was a lot less, now it's a lot more. But what Zards are doing with just the gamification of their collection and their community, like they're in the fight, right? And they're doing it really well. I haven't seen a lot of collections. I mean, in the first collections that launched were very much like that on Ape Chain. But for the most part now, most of the collections are sticking around regardless of how they're being monetized and building. And the community of collectors there are rewarding them by picking up floors and by joining the communities. And so it is less of I mean, certainly like things like Pickles are vibes and all that, but it's less of a degen vibe play and more of a whole bunch of collectors joining a whole bunch of communities. I think one of the differences, because of the low cost, is you could be part of many communities on Ape Chain, and you see a ton of cross-community spaces and events. because
the cross-community stuff is where I'm struggling to put words around, but it really is there. And when I didn't mean any disrespect to the ones where I say, oh, some of these are just going to be around for a couple months. That's okay. Like, not everything needs to be a business that's built to last a century. Like,
right.
You can have fun on chain. You can, and I think because there's so much cross community mingling and just engaging each other, supporting each other, I think it creates an environment where there's a lot more interest in something that might be like an on-chain game or something that might be built to last, a few weeks, because you have the other home bases, right? There's, whether it's STK or G's or, Ding, like there's so many home bases that most of those communities are, I really do feel it's becoming like one giant community on Ape Chain. And I think that's a positive, not a negative.
It very, very much is. And Ape Chain, by the way, is supporting that. The Ape Chain hub that just came out with NGB, Ape Chain is really supporting that, from the very top, and the collectors are supporting it, as the base. It's really a great place to build and a great place to be. And with Divi, we've talked to, at this point, most of the collections on Ape Chain, and has so many collections coming out when our platform launches. We're starting with a handful. And by the way, every collection that joins us, we have a Discord. Do you remember the old discord.art?
Oh, yeah.
So we are basically like discord.art today, where we have, if you're a holder of any of our projects, you can get into the Diviverse chat and cross-pollinize and hang out and have a good time. But then if you're a holder of particular projects, you can go a level deeper and then go and hang with that particular project. We have other egg holders strategizing about other eggs. We have SDK holders strategizing about the upcoming dolls pre-mint and the public mint. And the list goes on and on. And so we try to make it so that there are additional benefits to the communities and the founders for joining up with the Diviverse, not just the fact that they're monetizing and incentivizing. And even though we're not talking about like an $18,000 Taproot wizard mint type of thing, I will say that some of the SDK collectors have made literally thousands of dollars since mint holding. It's not a staking contract, anything. You just hold it in your wallet and you get dropped ApeCoin. And ApeCoin has the native yield as well. And we all wish ApeCoin was worth a little bit more right now, but hopefully it'll rebound. But just holding these things in their wallets, they've made literally thousands of dollars USD, if people remember what fiat is. And that's what we're trying to get people to understand with the Divi. So any collections out there, if you want to join STK, if you want to join Bounty Hunter, who's launching a really interesting platform called NFT Rich, where the NFTs on Ape Chain will battle each other, and then the winner gets all the NFTs. But if you want to join all of us over there, just DM me, and we'll get you hooked up. And again, it's not native to Ape Chain, although all the payments will go out in Ape Chain, or in ApeCoin rather.
That's what I was going to ask. You said DM you. If someone's listening, they're like, okay, I'm interested. I don't hold any Ape Chain NFTs yet, but I want to get started. I want to learn more about this. I guess you're open if everyone just DMs you. Is there another place? Should they check out the STK Discord? Should they go to the DIVIT Discord? Where should people go if they want to learn more after the show?
The STK Discord has become the Diviverse Discord.
Okay.
We acquired it from STK. Thank you, STK. STK is still the main partner over there, but now it's Diviverse. And by the way, that's a strategy with STK. We want as many different communities coming in and seeing how awesome all the communities are. STK, all the different communities are. And we've seen a lot of people, just go, oh, new collection, let me buy into that. So yes, for now, the best way to do it is just DM me. I'm cool with that. On X, I won't answer you on Discord. It's just over there.
Same, I guess. If a founder wants to see how they can work with Divi and bring that into their collection, same thing. Just shoot you a DM.
Yeah, 100%. And Ernest and I, as board counsel, we're setting up this Diviverse platform where people are going to, they can always DM us, but they can be able to just go on the platform when it opens and just set it up. We're always happy to say hi, right? But then we also have projects like STK, Bounty Hunter, Bulls in the Block, the project, Laughing Ape is putting up a PFP project soon that we actually help manage as well. And so we're open to all of that, and people can DM. And same thing I'll do now, like I did the last time I was on here, and you guys are so gracious for allowing me to do this. But anybody who wants to get on the upcoming STK Dolls trash list, that's the allow list, DM me your wallet address, and I will add you. You will get onto the first segment of minting. I won't call it guaranteed, but pretty much guaranteed. Just email me your ETH address, ape chain address, or the same thing, and I will put you on that trash list and get you over into the Diviverse.
You mentioned, thank you for that. Appreciate it. You shouted out Zards. I pinned up top, shout out to Diablito. They just dropped a book. It's the first ever NFT tie-in adventure book connected to a collection on ApeChain. That is available on Amazon, pinned up top. And you said, keep grinding. Zards has been in here, I think, in this show well before they even minted, and continues. Oftentimes we see people, those brand accounts, they'll pop in pre-mint and they'll request up on stage a few times, and they simply just want to show their upcoming mint, and then as soon as they mint, we never hear from them again. Great respect to those who continue to grind and continue to execute the roadmap and show up, whether they're showing up as listeners or guest speakers when it's beyond the mint. It does not go unnoticed. You also shouted out the Ape Chain Hub. I've heard a lot of great things about that. I did pin a post up top. It's an account you're probably going to want to follow. They currently are giving away a bunch of other side deeds, and you're going to want to go tag your favorite builder in that pin post up top, and they might win one of those other side deeds. But a lot of exciting stuff happening.
Let me just say that you and I were around for that big bull run, right? 2021, 2022, and it was so fun, right? The same thing is happening now on ApeChain, right? The prices are cheaper. That's true. There is no gas. So for the people that love gas wars, where they spend thousands of dollars in ETH, sorry, but with ApeChain, there's basically no fee for doing. I don't know if you remember, we would tell people, oh, gas is low. Now's a good time to start your OpenSea collection if you're an artist, because you only got to spend $200 to establish it. There's no gas fees anymore. It's a fraction of an ape coin. And so for those who are hanging out on any chain, keep hanging out on those chains, right? We don't need all your love. But if you're not coming over and collecting on ApeChain and hanging on ApeChain, you are missing the bull market vibes. You are missing some great collections, some amazing art, some wonderful builders, amazing communities, and some really big innovation happening. It really is like the bull market all over again. And the only difference is that we're still in the early phase over on ApeCoin and ApeChain. It's who knows what's going to happen, but we're having a very good time over there. And if you want to come join us, just let me know. And speaking of a good time, I do have to say, tomorrow is April Fool's Day. And if people don't know, I am a comedian. I know I seem very funny. And I am hosting an April Fools stand-up comedy show.
That's good.
Tomorrow night. Thank you. Tomorrow night, April 1st, 3 p.m. Pacific time. I've invited some really great comedians, one of whom is one of ours, Leah Lamar, from our neck of the woods here in crypto. And everybody is welcome to come. It's happening live in the Diviverse. Check out the pin post on my profile. And if anybody needs help getting into the Diviverse, let me know. But we want you to come. We'll open up that room for tomorrow night so everybody can join the show and be our audience and hang out with the comedians. And then also we'll open up that trash list for you over there as well. So we hope you come and enjoy some comedy. I've got a few jokes before I introduce the true comedians of the night.
I don't know where to go with this, Steve. I'm attempting to weave between Aaron's very professional business conversation, but he mentioned, his upcoming comedy routine, and he's a jokester. So I was attempting to connect it all with Aaron's very well thought out professional, real world business case with NFT Tooth or NF Tooth. Why hasn't this happened, Von Frunten? You say it's a joke. It's not a joke. They already have the toothbrushes that it vibrates or it plays music for 2 minutes until you're done. Why hasn't someone...
Bad video of you doing the toothbrush there, by the way. That's a clippable one right there, just with no sound.
Why don't we have... I've got 17 apps on my phone that track my steps. Why do we not have tokenized toothbrushing and flossing yet? Please tell me this. This is the most obvious brush your teeth every day. grind some tooth for that tooth drop. We've got kids. We can onboard the kids early with their instead of giving them fiat dollars when they put their tooth under their pillow, we can just give them a fungible token. Like, someone needs to build this.
By the way, that's a great idea. If kids brush their teeth and they see the NFT materialize as they brush it with cute characters, 100%. But getting away from the family oriented stuff for a second, there are so many different orifices in the body that you can use vibrating things on to earn NFTs. I don't know why you have to just stop with just simply a toothbrush.
When body blue in Web3, I guess, is the question we're asking here.
Right when I was just gonna be like, hey, me and my daughter listen every day on the way to school. She wanted to say hi, Steve and Captain.
Well, that's your fault. I mean,
we're talking about brushing teeth. This is family friendly.
The whole app is 18 plus.
Body blue. I just want to shout out you guys and give you huge flowers for the consistency. My daughter wants to do hot chocolate with Captain, and she wanted to say hi. So.
Hello.
Well, hello.
Thanks for joining. Appreciate you tuning in. And yeah, we'll have to do a hot chocolate with Captain here sooner or later, Steve.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, she's a young alpha, so she always stays tuned in and watches us cook. So
love it.
How old is she?
She's 7.
Oh, nice.
She's learning computer security. I taught I don't know if it's a good idea, but I taught her how to erase her history. I think that's she did it this morning. She said, I was like, you got stuff to hide. You might want to erase your history. Well, got to teach them young.
Yeah, she was looking at high-priced Squishmallows and didn't want her parents to know. I like that.
Yeah, it's probably she's watching some random YouTuber, that's 15 or 16. But but I hope you guys are good, man. I just want to send love and let you guys.
No, appreciate that. Appreciate you and your daughter listening in every morning. We love that. That's why we try to be careful about what we say and how we say it related to things kids may not know most of the time. Now, we will use swear words from time to time, but look, I got a 10-year-old and a 13-year-old. They've been hearing me swear for a long time. So, Cap, I don't know. That's funny. Like, we went deep into the questionable streets there, but no, I think bringing your back up is interesting, Aaron, to your point about what you're doing and the idea of Ape Chain, because Ape Chain really is, to me, like one of the first sort of like cities that feels like it's rowing the boats in the same direction together. It doesn't have that PvP nature on its mints. It feels like, I go to an Ape Chain space and it's one of the few spaces where I see a variety of different PFPs, people just having fun with it, enjoying playing around. And I actually think it's healthy that it's a low price mint. It's funny. The direction I was going to go before Joey Valls wanted to debate car prices earlier was that, people buy a Taproot Wizard. That's a price of a car. Ape Chain, it's like you can go on and you can go and mint something for $1 or $2. And yeah, and that's the price, like minting something for the price of a cozy coupe instead of the price of a car is far more palatable for, I think, most human beings. And then you get to actually participate in that community. So that's really cool. Now, you mentioned like getting around the Howey test. I do want to go back to this for a minute here, though, because like you mentioned, like kind of getting around the Howey test and finding the right way to do it. I guess, like, first of all, like the name Divi, little on the nose, dividend, right? It's a little on the nose.
Nope, that's not. It's 100% not dividend. It's spelled differently. It's a different meaning. It's a different word. So,
well, I thought dividend was clever.
Yeah, but there's a reason why it's not dividend. So, I mean, if you've been in my spaces over the past 4 years, you heard me rail against people calling themselves investors. I've had spaces titled "Stop Calling Yourself an Investor." So it is not meant to be dividend. You've not heard me say dividend, and I'm not trying to be cute here. Like it's just not. Also, I feel like a huge villain on the space now for having said an adult thing in an adult chat. It reminds me of when I was working comedy clubs, where every once in a while somebody would bring like an 8-year-old to the show, and I would just be like, "Sorry, you can't come in." They'd be like, "Why?" It's because I'm going to talk. That's why I'm going to talk. So apologies to all the 7-year-olds listening. But I'll try to keep it cleaner from now on.
No, it's all good. We sometimes sort of leg in the wrong direction here at times like that. It's part of the show, part of what we do. But no, I you mentioned like, okay, it's not dividend, so divide, like sort of the same sort of route there or anything like that. I guess like to me, it's like I like that you're being extra careful with it, and I guess like the question would be like, do you feel any inherent personal risks sort of like beating the drum on this? Obviously, you got a great lawyer in Ernest who's working with you on this, and you kind of have the idea, but like, is there like, even in a more friendly regulatory environment, is there a level of nervousness when you take on something that has traditionally been, very, very, I mean, just no other way to put it, very, very risky traditionally?
Well, I don't know, and you're talking to a guy that has like a diagnosed anxiety issue, right? And so there have been many things I've wanted to do in the space since 2021 that I have not done, because of the gray areas of U.S. regulation, right? And this to me does not even touch that. I mean, we're allowed to make business deals with each other. I mean, first of all, if you think about it, there's no issue with platforms giving royalties, right? There's never been an issue with that, as far as I know. This is a licensing deal. Like, so if we say that because they're digital assets, we're not allowed to make real world business deals having to do with them, then I think the whole thing is lost, right? So this isn't, nobody owns part of the company. Nobody has shares. Nobody's an investor. You are a collector of our products. We really appreciate that. You are a part of our great community. We really care and work our asses off to make sure, whether it's SDK or any of the other founders, to make sure that we're putting out the best experience we can. But these are simple business deals. It would be like asking you if you're nervous about accepting money from ENS, for sponsoring because we're in the crypto industry. It's just a thing that has nothing to do with investing or owning part of the company or anything like that. It's just a business deal, and that's not me being cute. I mean, it's what it is.
Yeah, no, it's forging a new sort of path in that way, which I find very interesting, though, like in how you're approaching it, which I appreciate the leadership in that. I think it's something where you're trying to do something a little bit different, and I'm glad that you are working within the sort of confines of the friendly home base of 8chains, at least early on, because obviously you have a passion there since the beginning. You're one of the more tied in people with everything that's been going on with 8chain and since day one in the DAO. So I know that you've been deeply ingrained in those streets. So definitely a place that to call home. So I guess exciting times for you. Anything else that maybe we didn't ask you today related to this that you want to get into? I know we're kind of running up against time, because I think I like differentiating things. I like trying to do something a little bit different for people in Web3 and trying to like play around and sort of experiment more. And it feels very much like that's what's happening here. Any other sort of things that we didn't ask you that maybe you would have liked to get through?
No, first of all, I love you guys. Talking about being in places from day one. I mean, you guys have been doing this since basically day one, and you're not. I mean, look, in the past week, you've had on, like the absolute giants of our industry, and then you've also had on me, right, and other people. Like you guys talk to the biggest, and you talk to the smallest. I don't mean smallest in a derogatory way, but the builders on the ground floor, and I really want to thank you for doing that. For us, board counselor Ernest and I, we continually try to think of different ways to reward holders, collectors, but also the founders, right? Because what is missed a lot of times is that founders need to monetize. Like they need. I was talking to a founder last night that put out a free mint. He was like, "Oh yeah, we kind of should have thought about the fact that we'd have no money to do anything." The collectors and the holders, you want your founders monetized. It is not a bad thing to make money. You should make money, if you can, if the market allows. And the founders should too, because then one, they can live and do things, right? But also two, they could put money back into the project. STK, the founders put a lot of money into this upcoming Dolls pre-mint, which was 100% a reward for the OG holders that they didn't have to do, but they could, because again, second highest gross on Ape Chain. And so the divvy, the broker, other things that we have coming up, it is meant to give everybody in the space, whether you are a collector, a community member, or a founder or an artist, the ability to make money and to live. There's nothing wrong with that from anybody, and so we're so proud to be helping founders and artists, and also to have collectors be able to monetize too. And we want everybody to come and join us in the Diviverse. We want everybody to come and see that show tomorrow night in the Diviverse. And we want everybody to participate in the Dolls pre-mint and public mint. And if you have any questions about that, just DM me. But honestly, I just want to say thank you for giving this a spotlight and for having me on the show again. Next time I come, I promise I will be G-rated.
No, well, we appreciate it very much. And by the way, appreciate you acknowledging that specifically, because I think for us, like, that's one of those ones where it's like, we want to highlight people who are building really cool stuff. And for us, like, that's, certainly part of talking to people like yourself and others. And, it doesn't matter if you're a, CEO with a gazillion founders or a gazillion followers, and, you're working on something, or if you're, somebody who is just building really cool things and trying to push the space forward. We want to make sure that we are highlighting all the best of the best. So appreciate you, acknowledging that and giving us some kudos on that, because that is something that's important to us, to make sure that we are trying to do our best to push the space forward as much as we can. So thank you so much for saying that. Means the world to us, and obviously appreciate everything you're doing to continue to move us forward. Very much so. Cap, exciting stuff. Feel great about something like this. I mean, it's just fun to talk to, like I know you DM me and said, hey, we got that going on. I know we're in the midst of trying to basically, as much as possible, continue to manage guests and time with a small operation. And it's good to have people like Aaron on, I think, and discuss stuff like this.
Yeah, for sure. Aaron, appreciate you. Appreciate all you are doing. We talk about, we don't say we're fortunate to get to talk to individuals that are pushing the space forward just to say it. It really does take leaders like Aaron and his partner and his team to attempt to do new things. And this is something I can't help but think, like, I wonder if things play out differently if something like this exists in 2021. Like, I'm not going to keep blaming Blur, but incentivized bidding did wreck the NFT space. It changed the space from collecting to many just started looking at it purely as a financial instrument. And there is this, as Aaron said, we're not investors. We don't hold any equity in these businesses, but just this really tugs on my heartstrings in terms of the ethos of Web3 that got me so excited about this space to begin with. The idea of not just building in public and supporting these brands, but to be able to participate along the way in some way or another, knowing that I don't have an equity stake, knowing I'm not a shareholder, but there are ways to reward your supporters. And so often we just fall into the loyalty reward programs, right? It's just like, oh, if you buy more stuff, you'll get some prizes, you'll get some incentives. This is another spin on it, another approach. And I'm really excited about, you don't have to buy anything else. Just, hey, you supported us. If you hold that item, that shows your support, and you potentially could receive rewards down the road by sharing in the royalty stream. So I am a royalty bull. I think they are something that's really special about this place. I know they can exist off chain, but I'm rooting for not just Aaron and DIVIT, but I hope they start a trend here. I hope this becomes a meta, and I hope they inspire competitors that say, oh, this is the path forward in terms of building on chain and allowing your community to participate in the growth and success of the brand you're building.
I'm sorry, can you imagine if all the stuff that we aped into since 2021 was paying a divvy over the past 3 or 4 years? I mean, it at least wouldn't make me cry so hard when I looked at my ETH wallet. And that's what's happening on Ape where you're going to be able to go to our page and just look at all the different projects and buy them. Some of the communities you'll be involved in, some of them you won't. But each week you'll see ApeCoin dropped into your wallet. So that's what we're looking to do. I know my time is up. I just wanted to say that would have been amazing in 2021, and it is amazing now.
It is amazing. I saw we have the Ape Chain Hub out there in the audience. Appreciate you. Thanks for tuning in. That pinned post is up top. I don't know when that ends, but I would encourage everyone, go ahead up top, tag your favorite builder, do it to give your favorite builder a shout out, not just to win an other deed. And you give your favorite builder a shout out, you never know what that might lead to. And if you happen to win other deed, win all around. Aaron, really do truly appreciate you. Send Ernest our best. Appreciate all you're doing to take shots, right? To do something different. And as I mentioned, I'm certainly rooting for you for many reasons. I saw we had Chespy jump up on stage here. Chespy, did you have a quick question for Aaron, and feel free to take this wherever you'd like. GM, thanks for jumping up.
Yo, how you doing, Captain Swingley? Steve, Aaron, happy to see you, man. And the amazing account, DJ Network, man. Yo, just coming here. I do not have a question for Aaron, but I'm actually in a different mission. So once we finish with Aaron, man, I love the DIVIT, everything that they're, how they supporting other projects as well, how they collabing. And it's actually amazing. I love what they doing, man. Ernest Lee and Aaron, killing it with the DIVIT. But I mean, once we're done with Aaron, I have a surprise for you guys.
Go, yeah, Aaron. Any final words before we get to this grand finale surprise? Anything we didn't get to today you wanted to make sure we share?
I'm excited. No, I just wanted to say thank you for having me up, and I can't wait to do some comedy for you all tomorrow night in the Diviverse, and thank you for having me. You guys, I truly love you guys. You guys are the best.
Feelings mutual, and I would say that there would be nothing like an April Fool's comedy skit other than you to show up and say, "Just kidding, guys. It was April Fool's joke. I'm not doing this tonight." But never mind. Don't do that. That would not.
We have an AIP to fulfill, so I need to. I don't think that would qualify.
This is why Cap is not the comedian and Aaron is. Cap's like, hey, you want to hear a hilarious joke? We're like, So yeah, that's why you have the job you have, and we have the job we have.
Everyone becomes a comedian on April 1st, though. I feel many bad comedians are gonna. We talk about people moonlight as geopolitical macro experts on this app. Everyone moonlights as a comedian tomorrow.
Yeah, a lot of tariff experts right now. All right, Chespy, what's up? What do you got going on for us? Let's hit it.
Yo, man, it's been crazy. We had we collect a little bolt, from different projects and different founders on the previous mega space that was done, to collab with different chains, cross-pollinating with as many chains as we can. Almost 7,000 people tuning in, a certain point over 1,000 people on stage on the space, and it was cool, right? Then we end up with a few more NFTs where Ernest Lee, Aaron sent many SDKs. We got so many sleuths, we had so many SARTs, many NFTs from everybody. Like, it was crazy to see all the founders coming together. And then I was like, bro, what can we do with this, right? We decided to do some stream and space at the same time, but then it became, after 2-3 spaces, it became like the same people coming over and over. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna hit a few friends. I'm gonna start jumping from space to space, different communities and different chains, Ethereum, Base. I jump into Solana space too, and we onboard the host, the co-hosts, and many of their speakers and their listeners, especially if they didn't have an NFT, Apechain NFT. Then after that, we start rewarding the hosts and the co-hosts as well, that they were on the space. Captain Swingley, congratulations! You actually were one of the first winners. I don't know if you checked your wallet already.
Is that where the egg came from? I saw the egg and the ding. Was that you?
Yeah, that's the one that we sent.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Congratulations, but that doesn't end right there. So, Steve, we want to send you a gift. Now that we have Aaron in the house, I think we should send you an SDK that we have on the vault. If you didn't have one, congratulations. Now you have one, Steve. Just send me your address, and I will be sending you an SDK from the vault. and I would love to steal your show a little bit. And if you can pick someone that doesn't have an ancient NFT, but I support you guys every freaking day, pick one, and we will also send him an SDK from the vault.
I love it. I love it. Appreciate you doing that. And I'll let Steve pick our guests. Steve, in addition to you picking a guest for this STK, I also have, I mentioned on Friday, I had an Ethos invite. I know our Ethos conversation wasn't the all positive variety this morning, but I saw Rare Ed over on Abstract giving us some love over there. He's still looking for an Ethos invite. Ed, I'm going to DM you your Ethos invite. And then Steve, you can pick the winner for the STK.
Yeah, we'll find it.
Actually, maybe it's a good time to tease. So we're talking prizes and giveaways. Maybe a good time to tease our upcoming segment tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll do that. First of all, I do have an STK. One of the sickest STKs in the collection. I'm showing it on screen for those who are watching on stream right now. Big fan of my STK. It is bad ass. Yeah, but that said, like, no, let's do this. Like, we have a big segment coming up tomorrow. We're not going to tell you what it's called just yet, but you are going to have the opportunity to win some polls from our friends at Beezie. We talked about it a few weeks ago. We had them on the stream. Joey Vallow said, like, let's make this happen. And, Andrea and Pratik were in. It was great. We had some discussion. So we're going to talk about it more today. I'll do a formal announcement actually on my to-do list of making sure I get everything perfectly right in that after we jump off and have our debrief. But definitely I'm going to put out a post talking about that today to encourage people, because Tuesdays for a little bit here are going to be exciting times where literally you're going to need to show up, have a Beezie account, and you're going to have the opportunity to win stuff. We're going to send it directly to you. It's going to be your opportunity to win polls from that prize machine. So it's going to be really fun. We'll get more into it tomorrow. But for those of you who stick around till the absolute end here, the 143 of you in the space, the 34 of you over on Abstract, the other people on YouTube and X video, appreciate you. Tomorrow, we're going to be giving away some very real, very valuable items. Like, we could pull a $400 card and it could land in your wallet. Or, you could use the swap value at that point, right? So, that's going to be something that we're going to be doing live, testing some live audience interaction, as well as driving people over there. And again, you're going to need a Beezie account to do it. So teaser now, sign up for your Beezie account. We're going to tell you again tomorrow. We'll tell you again throughout this, as we're going on this, but sign up for a Beezie account because people are going to have the chance to win. You're just going to have to, pop into the, into the chat, and we're going to have some live discussions there. So yeah. So we'll have different actions and different ways we're giving away every week. Maybe one week we'll give them away to YouTube. One day we'll give them away to Abstract. One day we'll give them away to commenters. One day we'll just give them away randomly. But the number one thing you're going to need is a Beezie account. So little teaser, set up your Beezie account, get that set up and ready, and you could be winning something really good. Maybe you'll win a $12 card. Maybe you'll win a $1,200 card. We don't know. So get excited for that. I'm excited for that. It's a very logical thing. We got a dope jingle for it ready to go. So should be a fun one as well.
See, before I let you pick someone in the chat, I'm going to put Chespy on the spot here. No obligations, but I'm going to shoot my shot since I got him on stage. I will take full advantage of this. Two-part plug here. One, I'm going to shout out ApeCon, which is coming up April 17th. It's pinned up top, both the first announcement, and then just to the left of that is the application if anyone's interested in competing in the startup competition there. During that, it'll be a day-long virtual conference for Ape Chain builders. It'll culminate in a startup competition. Think of just like a simple pitch competition, Shark Tank-esque. Some are going to be established teams, others are going to be new teams. We've had a lot of individual applicants apply. That's what I'm most excited about, Steve, is to connect some of these entrepreneur-minded individuals and see what teams come out of that. Chespy, I've already talked to Rita, and he's already said he's in. He'll help. We don't even have to ask. But since you were working, since you did such a great job collecting all those giveaways for the mega space, if you're interested, and again, no obligations, but I'm putting you on the spot here. Would love to run that back for ApeCon. Part of the there's 5,000 apes going to the winner, but we've also got prizes throughout the day. We'll be giving to those attending the virtual conference and listening in. So yeah, if you've got any, if you want to run that back, if you've got some founders that would like to get their NFTs in the hands of other ape chain builders and those are participating on chain, I would love to link up on that. So no obligation, but yes, it's kind of an obligation since I'm putting you on the spot. I kid, but
no, man, it's all love. And actually, I'm gonna be there too. I'm gonna be pitching as well.
Awesome.
So I think I will have an advantage now. So man, yeah, definitely I'll be there. I'll definitely be there. And also, congratulations, Captain, because you also won a an SDK. I was just teasing with you at the beginning, sending just a gift to Steve, and I just send it to your wallet, to the same wallet I send the egg. I hope it's the right one. And man, thank you, man. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. You didn't have to do that, but I do greatly appreciate it. And
what you mean? I couldn't. They're not my NFTs.
Well,
I can't give it away.
Truly, thank you though. I do appreciate it. And yeah, I'm geeked about this upcoming virtual conference competition, and my hopes is it's just the beginning of many things to come with that. Not even us, leading things or hosting spaces or hosting conferences, but I truly do hope it's just another moment in time where it brings a bunch of builders together and a few of them take and run and build some pretty cool stuff as a result.
Yes, that's something that we need. We need to break those walls, and also pop the bubbles and try to go somewhere else. I've been well received in different stages with different friends, and was able to onboard a few people, to the chain. Going one-to-one, knocking doors, and it felt amazing. It's something I like a lot. I love it, actually, onboarding new people to the chain. And it's crazy, it's crazy because they asked me, bro, but don't you have a project? And I was like, yeah. And why you talk about the project? I'm like, because I want to showcase the people that is here. People knows what I'm doing, and there will be time for me to speak as well. But right now, I'm on a mission on bringing as many new wallets to the chain, and that's something I want to do. I already done it with my project. We brought over 1,500 new wallets to the chain. So now I want to do the same one by one, right? Because I think every founder is being happy, because they say, bro, we've been seeing this and that in the DMs. And that's what pushed me to do it, man, because it's actually an amazing feeling, bringing a new wallet to the chain, and amazing community also to their NFT projects and their chats. And congratulations, Captain Steve. I know many times us as a host and co-host, we don't win, but today's the day that we also reward you guys for everything that you guys do. You've been inspiration for many of us. Captain, you're about probably to hit 1,000 spaces if I'm not wrong. Steve, probably the same amount. And come on, we just gotta say what's up to the people that's been here even before us. So thank you, man.
Really appreciate it. And you know what, the kind words and if you've taken even any inspiration from us, that actually means as much, if not more, than any NFTs that we've won. Like, it just, I really do appreciate it. It means the world to us, and we're happy to be here. Grateful for the opportunity to inspire some, and hopefully we're able to, with any luck, able to continue to do that for another 1,000 shows plus to come. But Steve, good day today. A lot happening. A lot of exciting stuff going on. Despite market doing market things, I'm pretty pumped. I feel pretty good about where we are at in terms of a show, in terms of a space at large. You zoom out, things are really a lot to be excited about. A lot of things to be pumped about where we're at and where we're heading. And I think the short-term stuff is just that. It's short-term stuff, and it feels like, I don't want to jinx it, but it feels like maybe we're getting back to a time in a world where it's more about the fun than the gains. And I know we didn't even touch on DreamNet today. I'm sure we'll talk about that tomorrow. I don't know. Maybe we get the Doodles team on someday this week. We do have another special guest tomorrow. Not only do we have some prizes to give away with this new segment, we also have some more allow list spots for a pretty hyped upcoming mint. So if you haven't hit those reminders yet, I'll share that all the way. It'll be all the way up to the top to the left. Our carousel for the week. Would appreciate you smashing those reminders. It does us a solid, and we genuinely do have another great week of guests lined up, and more a probably cold open topic, Steve. But I will hand it to you, and we'll round out with this. I share my GM tweet, my 7 years sober today. It's not something I think about often. I really don't, other than maybe like an anniversary, or it's just so far into my lifestyle. I don't ever really think about drinking. I don't even think about not drinking. It's just very normal for me. But at times I do reflect, and I just want to say thanks. Thank you for being you. Thank you for being there. I probably owe an actual real genuine tweet just to tell the world how much you mean to me. But we kind of both share. We both had one of those roller coaster type weeks towards the beginning of last week, and I reflect now, like 7 years ago, those are times where I would have drank through those stressors. And I was someone, when I chose to stop drinking, it wasn't like I was waking up with a fifth of vodka in my hand every morning, but I absolutely used alcohol to de-stress, to take the edge off, to be able to sleep at night, to turn my brain off. And I didn't think about it at the time. I didn't think about it last week, but as I posted that this morning, and I was like, man, thank God I'm not drinking anymore, because I didn't have control over that. I didn't realize the damage it was doing. And often where I would go through one of those stressful moments, and then I'd have a few gin and tonics to take the edge off, to de-stress, then it would become, okay, the stress, not only did the stress not go away, it was very easy to fall into that cycle where, oh, I've got another stressful day, I got another nightcap, and the next thing you know, I've had just way too much alcohol coursing through my veins, because it doesn't just go away. It's not just why you're drinking. It stayed in my system, and the impact that had on me physically and mentally and emotionally, I didn't realize the damage it was doing until I moved out of that. And like I said, I don't mean to rant. I don't mean to, and I'm not a prohibitionist. Everyone can, to each their own, and those that choose to drink, that's perfectly fine. I still frequent bars and environments like that. I just made a decision 7 years ago. And while I say it's something I don't think about often, as I reflect on us building this together, there's certainly been, we've had some big wins, some things we often absolutely are very grateful for and love to celebrate. We've also had some challenging moments. And I am grateful that I have someone like yourself that is there. You sent, I told you, one of the texts you sent, you got me all emotional last week because you just offered something you didn't have to do. And you put me before yourself. And I just, in front of everyone, want to let you know how much that means to me. And I don't know if how I would have made it through last week if I was still in that drinking mode, because it does have a impact that it's like, it's a Y in the road. And now that it's just something that's not even an option, I am grateful that that's not a Y I even ever consider taking, because if I was, that would have been, some moments where, and hey, maybe I have a couple drinks and I fall asleep and nothing happens. Maybe it kicks off 30 days of having a couple drinks in a row before I go to sleep. And that was detrimental to me. And I share because, like I said, it's something I don't think about often, but when I do think about it, it reminds me how grateful I am for where I'm at and the people in my life. And you're very much one of those I'm grateful to have in my corner. So greatly appreciate you.
Yeah, man, right back at you. I appreciate the kind words. And I think part of it's so funny. It is to some degree, it's very hard to do a daily show. We talk about it sometimes where we're like, look, some days you're not in a good mood. Some days things don't go right. On other days, you're like, hey, man, it gives us a reason to show up every day and change the way we're approaching the world. Every single day we show up to this show. The other day, we were both in a shit mood, and then we flipped it on and we're like, can't talk about it anymore. Let's flip it on. And we just have to go because obligation to our community, to our audience, to our listeners, to our friends to do this well. And I think sometimes that gives this false sense that we have everything figured out and it's going well. I've heard people say things like that to me about how that is. And it's it's not the case. We have a lot that goes on behind the scenes, and there are very few people in Cap and my life that know everything that Cap and I are going through, business or personal wise. And I think that those moments are things I don't take for granted. It's one of the reasons personally, I've never been a solopreneur. I've always been 10x by having a partner in crime. And I think, grateful we're doing this thing together, for sure. And, even thinking about what you say, I mean, your sobriety inspires me not to do those. I'm somebody who enjoys a drink from time to time, but it's it's one thing if Dawn and I go and get a drink together and, go out to dinner on a Friday night. It's another thing if it's just I'm bored and I'm just going to do this, or I'm using it to mask my emotions, or I'm using it to not address something in myself. And I've definitely taken inspiration from you in that.
That's huge, man. That is huge. And it's not about like I mentioned like the nightcap. It's like I never dealt with those emotions when I was drinking. I just masked them with the booze. And then I moved on. And the compounding effect when you have shit that you should deal with. It's not healthy just to ignore, mask it, move on to the next day. Like sometimes you need to sit in those feelings. You need to deal with those feelings and get through it. And I don't get through it. I don't deal with it with booze now. Like, and not being cheesy. It's often this show. We were both in a shitty mood the other morning because we're professionals. We flipped the switch on and almost instantly, I got out of that mood. Like nothing's really changed from then until now, but except how I'm looking at things, how my approach is. And part of it, it's like, okay, I dealt with the shitty feelings and I moved on. And I just think that that's not to get all like I said, not get all cheesy or sentimental, but like, yeah, you do need to sometimes deal with the shit you're dealing with in your life. And you can get through it. You can deal with it a lot faster if you actually address it head on, as opposed to attempting to mask it or ignore it with booze or cannabis or your drug of choice. Like it's not good. And it'll delay the inevitable. And often that has a compounding effect. So yeah, appreciate you. And I am like a 180 from where I was mentally, and nothing has changed other than my outlook.
Yeah, your outlook determines your outcome a lot of times. And I just think that your even what you said there, I mean, when you like it's like if you pour booze on a problem every single time you have it, or cannabis or whatever it is, like you don't grow as a human. Like you just don't. Like you're gonna miss the important growth spots. And it's easy to say like, woe is me, and fall into those. And by the way, to your point about the compounding effect, when I fall into those, I mean, you described it. I'll just I'll drink every day in a week just because like it compounds on top of each other. And then the flip also happens where if I'm working really hard, I'm motivated to keep working really hard. If I'm exercising, I'm motivated to keep exercising. So I think those compounding positive effects can be positive and negative. And, I think about, I'm going to mess it up, but Atomic Habits, James Clear made this comment where it's like, if you miss once, it's a mistake. If you miss twice, it becomes a new habit. Right. And it's like, if you miss the gym once, whatever happens, get right back on it, do it tomorrow, give yourself the grace. If you miss twice, if you continue to do it, you've started a new habit. So here's to continuing to form those new habits and continuing to move it positively forward. Like we got a lot of things going on here. And last thing I'll say is like, as human beings, like give yourselves more grace. I mean, I oftentimes am super hard on myself about literally everything. It's something that Dawn always tells me not to do so much. Like, hey, like it's okay to blame other people sometimes, not just yourself on everything. And, even things like when I'm slow to get back to DMs or things like that, I'm kicking myself that I'm just so horrible. And it's like, give yourself some grace, concentrate on the important things in life. And I feel like, that's how you get out the other side and things tend to work out the way they're supposed to. So, yeah, good way to end it though. And really proud of you and congratulations on that. I mean, it is definitely an accomplishment. It is an inspiration, and it has made me personally more self-aware of when I don't keep, like as a side note, I know we're kind of closing down. I don't keep alcohol in the house anymore. I actually created a barrier to entry where if I want to drink, I must leave the house. Now that may change over the summer when we have people over, who knows? But at least for the past several months, Dawn and I stopped keeping our wine rack. Our wine rack is empty. Our like little bar that we had that used to always have liquor on it is closed. We close that difficulty to say, it's the same idea. It's like, I think James Clear used the example. If you think you play Xbox too much, put your Xbox in a closet so you have to set it up and plug it into your TV every single time. And so those little things, and a large part of that is seeing how you've approached things and how I know Bunchu's mentioned this about you as well. The fact that you go to an NFT event and don't have a drink. Sometimes I do that now. Sometimes I go to an NFT event and my default is I want to have something in my hand. I get a glass of water. I get a mocktail. I get something else. And so very, very grateful for that and the positive effects you've had on my life, not just in this show, but on a personal level. So good, wholesome way to end it, and proud of you, man.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Entirely unrelated, but if you're wanting to scratch you got a D unit you're looking to scratch today, there is remember Infinite Objects. I actually have an Infinite Object from the Cool Cat set. I wish I could program it and do some different stuff there, because I would actually probably display it. I just don't need to see, I don't need a memory of my my down bad Cool Cat's bag. Cool Cat's the Top Shot version, not the cat version. Long story short, they are doing a mint right now. It closes in a couple hours, hour and a half. It closes at noon Eastern. I wasn't familiar with it until I saw a G-Money tweet. It's a raffle, basically. I don't think, I mean, the moments are just like commemorative things they're commemorating, but it's a 0.02 ETH mint. There's 1,848 minted. And the raffle prizes, there's a CryptoPunk. There's 100 acrylic pieces of artwork, total value at 25,000 on that. There's 5 wood square extra large white walls, which is really cool. That the total value, that's 7,500. The punk being the big chase item here, Steve. I just did the math. 0.02 times 1848 is 37 ETH. So like right now they're down on the raffle. They've you know, if the bit were to end now, they'd be bringing in 36 ETH to give away a punk, which is worth more than that, plus the other items. So, you're most likely going to lose. You're most likely not going to win a CryptoPunk. You're most likely not going to win the other items. But if you like a good raffle, I mean, CryptoPunk's a good chase item. I'm probably going to mint one just to feel something today, Steve.
Yeah, I might do the same. It's funny. Perfect. This is perfect. So I have an infinite object here. It actually has my Moonbird on it somewhere, but it has infinite objects have this plug that is like no other plug that occurs in nature. And so as a result, I don't know how I'm going to turn this thing back on. I was looking at it. It was a cool thing to have on my desk. The plug that they have for it is literally like,
it's like a magnetic plug, isn't it?
It's like a Mac magnetic plug, but not like if they at least had made it like the Mac magnetic plug, I could use my MacBook plug. Nope. So I need to go ahead and find that. So we'll keep an eye out for that. But yeah, infinite objects, cool concept. I like the concept of, art in that way. And I know
on Shape, by the way. I don't know if I've minted anything else on Shape yet. Another layer too.
Yeah, Shape is another one I hadn't played around with. I wasn't quite tracking on it when I've heard a little bit about it before, but you never know. But another L2 that's out there and Shape's doing that thing. So seen a couple people promoting it. I may grab one, but that said, let's go ahead and send everybody off on their day. We appreciate everyone coming through this morning. We will continue to try to grow as Cap and I, as a team of a very small team with our folks who help us on the back end and myself, like trying to get more people into the newsletter. So we will get a landing page at some point up with that, coffeewithcaptain.beehive.com, BEEHIIV. If you're not subscribed, please do that. Subscribe over on the YouTube, subscribe to the podcast. We'll do a better job promoting that. We gotta, I need to actually sit once we can breathe and have like biz dev season done and launch we need to launch like campaigns into this sort of thing, right? I mean, like that's what we got to do. Put maybe some paid media on the way and see what happens. But appreciate everyone coming through this morning. We will talk to everybody bright and early tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Eastern time. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, everybody.
Thanks for tuning into Coffee with Captain, powered by ApeCoin. We hope you enjoyed the show, and remember, nothing we discussed today is financial advice. Until next time, keep exploring, stay curious, and we'll see you soon. Have a great day.
Welcome to the future.